There are new developments in two high-profile racially charged police shootings. They involve the deaths of two black men in separate incidents, one taking place in California, the other in Louisiana.
It's very hard living day to day, not knowing where the child is.
Paula Hill hopes that someone who sees these photos will help bring her missing daughter home and help mend her broken heart.
She's 8 on here. I wrote her on the back.
10 long years have passed since the young black girl in these precious memories disappeared without a trace.
We continue our coverage of the historic Supreme Court rulings with a look at a new film that examines how the African American community is grappling with LGBT rights and the campaign to legalize same-sex marriage in Maryland.
Hey, black child, do you know who you are? Who you really are? Do you know you can be where you want to be if you try to be what you can be? Hey, black child. Do you know where you're going? Where you're really going? Do you know you can learn what you want to learn if you try to learn what you can learn? Hey, black child.
Shalom, family. You know, I tell my kids all the time that they can be anything they want to be in this world, but they just gotta keep putting the Most High first. You feel me? We gon' make it, y'all. This song for us. Shalom. Yeah. Good morning. Yeah. We gon' make it. Shalom. Yeah. And good morning. Look, I started from the bottom, but now I'm at the top. Not yet at my peak, but man, I'm not gonna stop. I'm trying to stay up on my hustle, stay up on my grind, read up on these scriptures and edify my mind. Screaming Kwam Yasharala, but still shedding tears. Been depressed in the struggle over 400 years. I know life's hard, but we gotta do it. I'm praying for my people, cause man, we going through it. Dying in these streets, kids losing fathers, babies having babies, daughters having daughters. If you don't got a silver spoon, it's hard to get a win, especially if you born with melanation in your skin. You more than the hood you from, than your circumstance, than that bottle or that needle in your mama hands. It's dark times, but we can make it through the night. So when the morning come, we gon' still see the light. Yeah, see the light. Shalom. Yeah. Good morning. Keep your head up, family. Shalom. Yeah. And good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm here to send a message. I'm here to spread the word. I'm trying to feed the flocks. I'm trying to lead the herd. These lyrics ain't for plays. I'm speaking through the spirit. Passing on this knowledge. Tell me, do you hear it? Come up out of her and be ye separate. Holding on to idols. This ain't up for debate. Look up at the news. Do you see our condition? Vaccines killing children and our sisters in the missing. We dealing with guns, drugs, education, gangs, violence, no communication, racism, oppression, gentrification, idols, pride, no unification, sin, bondage, lost as a nation, homosexuality, spiritual castration. We royalty, but we don't know who we are. But even in the night, you can still see the star.
Where you can live, you can
Shalom.
peacefully reside. There are
Good morning.
Jim Crow, segregation.
Never forget who
there
you
all
are.
these things, and you still have an African American community.
Shalom. Yeah.
To the fortitude
And good morning.
Black people in this country.
It's called gentrification. It's what happens when the property value of a certain area is brought down. They bring the property value down. They can buy the land at a lower price. Then they move all the people out, raise the property value, and sell it at a profit.
President Obama today announced plans to expand drug treatment centers and increase the use of drugs that reverse the effect of opioids in an attempt to support addicts, helping them into treatment instead of arrests. Ekal Yanka compares today's approach to heroin users to the tough-on-crime response a few decades ago to those using crack cocaine.
Back then, when addiction was a black problem, there was no wave of national compassion. One former narcotics officer said, "These are people. They have a purpose in life, and you can't look at it any other way." When the faces of addiction had dark skin, the police didn't see sons and daughters, sisters and brothers. They saw brothers, young thugs to be locked up, not people with purpose in life.
But they want us to kill ourselves. Yeah, the best way you can destroy a people, you take away their ability to reproduce themselves. Who is it that's dying out here on these streets every night? Y'all. Young brothers like yourselves.
What am I supposed to do? The fool roll up, try to smoke me? I'm gonna shoot the motherfucker if he don't kill me first.
You're doing exactly what they want you to do. You have to think, young brother, about your future.
To my people, wake up.
God, that change is coming.
We about to turn up. Spider, me Shaq. We about to give them that.
Peace, love, and lights. Peace, love, and lights. Peace, love, and lights. Peace, love, and lights. We gonna bless the trap with this peace, love, and lights. We gonna bless our people with this peace, love, and lights. Yes, change your life. Open your eyes. Do it fast. Don't be surprised. What this world is going through right now is getting evil. Gotta come together so we can fly like an eagle. Killing the snakes, let go of this fake system. Love is the key, stop living your life as a victim. Been blessed with everything that we need, take action, sick 'em. If you want peace, put down your peace, that's how we fix 'em. We in the book, not leaning on our own understanding. We getting hot, can't cool us down, no need for fanning. Been getting stepped on so long, we feeling like shoe soles. But as long as I got the body, I roll with true souls. Ain't nothing sweet, no need to check your glucose. When two or more come together, we see the loophole. Time to rise and stick together like two doves. I follow Christ, if you hating, then who do you trust?
Set apart from the set apart. Cost of sin is death, you can get it a la carte. We all about shalom, we be all about our peace. We don't get down with the drama, all I gotta see.
It's all about peace and love, and praise to the one above. No need to hate the one, been there since you begun. You walk with the righteous, we learn they trying to fight us. They hands hurt like arthritis, they panic through the crisis. But we know the outcome, man, is really tragic. We want peace, they shoo it away like they allergic. They have dirty little lies, we clean them like detergent. We keep the peace in line like we the master sergeant. I want peace, so I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm the bride to the father, bringing the ring pallbearer. I've been called, so I'm living with peace in my heart. You can get it a la carte, boy, we set apart. Peace, love, and happiness is what the Christ brings. I'm a peacock, just let me open up my wings. That's a funny bar, cause peacocks can't fly, but I can be funny, I got peace from the Most High.
Set apart from the set apart. Cost of sin is death, you can get it a la carte. We all about shalom, we be all about our peace. We don't get down with the drama, all I gotta see.
I be on another wave, I be pushing positivity, no negative vibrations. I be on another frequency, don't care about a bad. We be giving them the proof, trying to wake up all my people when we hit them with the truth. Carnal thinking got them bound, but we trying to let them loose. They be wanting you to hang, propaganda like the news. Brothers killing other brothers, can't nobody get along. Trying to bring us all together with the lyrics to this song. But what really is shalom? Let me give y'all all some clarity. It's peace, happiness, and joy, welfare and prosperity. We focused on intentions, only good vibes. This was strangers who sojourn in them 12 tribes. We gon' illuminate with love, spreading light through affirmation. Tap into the God within, like push button activation. Take control of your emotions, even when they do you wrong. Just stay focused on the Father and then hit them with shalom.
Peace, love, and lights. Peace, love, and lights. Peace, love, and lights.
Stay one with the Father.
We gonna bless the trap with this peace, love, and light. We gonna bless our people with this peace, love, and lights.
Peace.
Yes.
I've convinced half of the world to not only accept sin, but to celebrate it. Do you know what has been my most enjoyable pride campaign to date?
No, what?
Well, my gay pride campaign, of course. Not only do I get the chance to promote your own self-destruction, I get to use God's logo, the rainbow, to do it. Love is love, right? My plan not only prevents you worthless humans from reproducing, it distorts the gender roles and allow me to bring all types of chaos and confusion upon your pathetic societies. It's been so successful, I've got men convinced they're women, and women convinced they're men, and some convinced they're no gender at all. And I've got 2 more Pride Initiative campaigns I'd like to introduce in the near future. And second is pedophilia pride. Now, society might not be ready for this one just yet, so we'll hold on.
Poisonous oxygen, make it hard to breathe. Need to open up my lungs. With these chemtrails and them FEMA camps, they gon' try to take my son. I swear this population ain't ready. These politicians be deadly. I'm trying to wake my people up, but the way the truth's so heavy. Don't let me think about the beginning, no winning, no sinning, unless you already know what the end be like. I'm taking by my awakening through the red pill. Now I really don't know what a friend be like. Dip me in the water, make me new again. I'm so done with lies, let the truth begin. The mark of the beast is the microchip in this wicked ass world so full of sin. Planned Parenthood 5G.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Hope everybody doing good. It's your boy Solemn Prophet here with Professor S, and this is Shabbat Talk. Glad to be here for another week. Shabbat Shalom, Professor S.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, bro.
My A1 Day 1. It was interesting having you in the chat last week. Holding down the chat. You and Sister Alva. Hope everybody else is doing good. So this week, as you guys saw that quick clip, you already know what we're going to be talking about. But before we get started, you already know we got to give all honor, praise, and worship to the Most High. Without him, we wouldn't have this platform. We wouldn't have this message. We wouldn't have any of the information that we have to share with you all. Right? We wouldn't be here. So he gets the credit. He gets the kudos. It is not us. Whether I'm leading a teaching or a lesson or a presentation, or whether Professor S is leading one. Right? We are getting our information directly from the source. So to him be the esteem. All praise to the Most High. All right, shout outs. Let's see what we got on here. We got in the building. Brother Greg was in here early. Brother Greg was in here on point. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Greg. How you doing?
Shabbat Shalom, my brothers. Pretty good. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom to Sister Ava. How you doing? Brother Ben over there holding it down in the chat. They always early. They be in there before I do. I come in and they already in the chat doing their thing. Shabbat Shalom. Sister Annie was in here early as well.
Shabbat Shalom. Can't wait to get started.
Hey, let me give a special Shabbat Shalom to my brother Abdullah, the Houston Brew in the chat. That brother, look. Hey, and by the way, this brother is amazing. Not only do he make music, do he deal with the ministry and helping out a lot of brothers and sisters. He got a platform where they also be going through. They just was talking about a nice topic over there. I tuned in for a good little minute. It was cooking. Shout out to Brother Abdullah, the Houston Brew in the building. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Tina Brown. Welcome. Glad to have you. Looking forward to see you join the conversation. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Tess and Sister Cindy.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Sister Aaliyah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, my sis. Zakaria Zamar in the building.
Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom. She said Most High Wielded. She gonna be here in the Most High Wielded.
Okay, all praises.
Happy you to be here. Shabbat Shalom, Chief Sims in the building. I saw my kid over there, so I guess y'all watch team on your phone. Shabbat Shalom, everybody over there. If I didn't see you, Shabbat Shalom. Sister Jasmine, Shabbat Shalom, welcome. My favorite cousin, don't tell nobody.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right. And as people come in and trickle in, we'll give them a shout out. But Yeah, y'all already seen it, but we're gonna get before we get into the video, the full video. If you missed the scriptural Sabbath summit, I'm gonna keep clicking that button. If you missed it, you're gonna want to check it out. Right? You definitely gonna want to check it out. If you do not understand the Most High's times and how his calendar actually works and operates, that is a one-stop shop for almost all of the information that you need to get started. Right? It's not an all-encompassing presentation because you can only fit so much into 6 hours, but it gives you everything you need to get started. Now, with that being said, let's roll on over to the Torah portion for this week. We have Leviticus chapter 14, verse 1 through 15:33, 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 3 through verse 20, and Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 through 17. And before we discuss, I will play the Parsha in 60 seconds video. One second. All right.
Shalom and welcome to Parsha in 60 seconds. Today's portion is from Leviticus 14:1 through 15:33. It is called Metzora, which means one being diseased. God gave a cleansing ritual for skin disease. It involves 2 live clean birds, cedar wood, crimson stuff, and hyssop. 8 days later, another sacrifice would be made. God explained the ritual for cleansing a house with an eruptive plague. It involves some major remodeling and some birds as well as other things. God gave the ritual for all sorts of male and female uncleanliness. Many of these rituals involved a lot of cleaning and clothes washing, and a week-long process which ends with a sacrifice. Cleanliness was very important to God. God told Moses and Aaron to put the Israelites on guard against uncleanliness, lest they die by defiling God's tabernacle. And that is Metzora in 60 seconds. Shalom and welcome to Parsha in 60 seconds.
All right. Parsha in 60 seconds. A lot of information crammed down into a minute, but who would like to share first about something that they read this week?
Yes, I will go. I will start. So let's see. Pretty quick. It's not too much. Let's see. So I guess the first piece was, again, it's in 2 Kings when, Yahweh caused the Arameans, I think that's how you say their name, Arameans to hear those sounds of the chariots. So they fled, even though there was nothing there, and they left like everything in the camp, the donkeys, the gold and all that. And then I think those leprous guys came and was able to get some stuff. I was like, wow, that was pretty awesome. Just to, I just imagine actually being there and like just hearing that and how terrified they were, and they just fled. He left everything. And then, yeah, when it comes, just like I guess Leviticus, just with the whole, they were talking about the discharge of like the skin and the leprosy, when it takes 7 days to be clean, and then going back to last week's Torah portion in 2 Kings, what was that? Chapter 5, where the guy, he had to go dip in the water 7 times to get restored. So instead of 7 days, he dipped in that fountain 7 times. So it's like I was saying, that number 7 is like unique. And it's like sped it up, instead of 7 days, it's like one, each dip was like a day, I guess, in that sense. So it's like 7 dips and he was clean. So that's cool how that kind of correlated together. And last thing is, oh yeah, I think so Matthew, when the captain came to Yahushua to appeal to him, and then he told him to, because of his faith, his servant was healed, even though he wasn't even near him. So because of his faith was that strong, it healed his servant. It's just me going back to if we just learn how to tap into that faith part, just as like a human race, make our faith that strong to where, we can really do true, see real miracles like they did in the biblical days, through history and man and Satan, it's like our minds got corrupted and it's like limited, even though we still have that authority, but it's, we have a lot of self-limitation on ourselves. So it's like, wow, that's just crazy. Because of his faith, his servant was healed. I don't know, was it miles away? I forget how far away they were, but I was just like, wow. But that's what I had.
Absolutely. I appreciate you for always being willing to break the ice and step out. Folks be scared to get their feet in the water, you know what I mean?
You got to jump in, just run and don't think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's expected for me or for Professor S to start out first because we the hosts, but we like to hear from y'all. We love the episodes where you guys join in the discussion and share your thoughts and what you're getting in there, Real quick, before we go to the next person, I want to give a special shout out, Shabbat Shalom, to Sister Clarissa. That's my boo boo. Love you, girl. Give my nephews a hug and a kiss for me. Appreciate you tuning in, being in here with us. So definitely appreciate you. Sister Abba cooking in the chat. I'm trying to keep up with her. She cooking, bringing out good points. Good points.
The chat master.
The chat master. Definitely. Anybody else wanted to share from their reading this week from the Torah portion?
I would just go on and say that, these things, they look at first glance, they look bizarre and they look strange and so forth, but cleanliness is important because we don't want to get diseases. And what the Most High was doing was telling us how to prevent diseases. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the things that the scripture says that we are to do in certain circumstances have only recently been discovered by scientific investigation to actually be what should be done in these instances. And so, he's giving us instructions on how to make us healthy, right? How to keep us healthy and prevent us from spreading things around. And, as science is catching up to the wisdom the Most High gave to Moses, we're realizing more and more that, hey, yeah, actually, this is what you should do if this was the case, So, very, very interesting that before any of this was known to science, it was given to Moses,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I agree with that. Like I said, science always catches up to the Bible. And I know back in the day, they used to actually use the Bible as the authority of base information and truth. And then everything else would, come after that, to where if it could not align with scripture, they would toss it out. And in school, they taught that it's probably 1800s before and early 1900s, they would use the Bible as the base of all truth, which is sad. We look at today and can't even talk about, Yah or anybody, or Yahushua in school. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's very interesting because we know that scripture says the life is in the blood, right? And scripture says the life is in the blood, right? And if sorry.
Yeah, the life is definitely in the blood. It ain't that for decoration.
Yeah, no.
It's there for a reason.
Even just a couple hundred years ago, people thought that if you were sick, you needed to drain your blood because you had something in your blood that was making you sick, and so they would literally bleed people to death, trying to cure them of their ailments, when if they had just read the scripture and seen the life is in the blood, they would be like, oh, well, certainly we should not be draining people's blood. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And just real quick, not to get too much off topic, but I was actually just talking about this the other day with somebody, as far as when it comes to, life in the blood, and how a lot of false religion, Satanists, they do the opposite of what, Yah says, as far as do not drink the blood of humans and animals because life's in the blood.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do, drink it and all that stuff. And then even like you say, how science catches up, it's even though they don't necessarily accept this piece now, but how some people get organ transplants or blood transplants, they pick up the skills of that person sometimes, like playing piano or certain tastes. It's that shows you, like I said, that the word is true and science catches up to the word eventually with certain pieces. But yes, it's just crazy how the word has all that in it.
Absolutely. Because I've seen some things, like you said, with the transplant, I've seen where people have spoken different languages from the person that they received the transplant from taking up hobbies like playing different music instruments. I've even seen where they've had memories that they couldn't recant, that they couldn't figure out like why they were having these memories because it wasn't their memory, right?
Crazy.
Yeah, life is definitely in the bud. For me, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. It was interesting to learn. Obviously, I'm reading it through the Targum, but it was interesting to learn how leprosy affects so many different areas, right? It broke down how to deal with leprosy in the skin, in your beard, in your hair, in your clothes, even in your house. Like if you got leprosy in the crib, how to identify it and how to vet it to see if it's legit leprosy, and if it is, and not just leprosy, it went over a couple other elements too, but just to see like, wow, like, dang, you got leprosy in your clothes. I get the beard if you're talking about like if you got it on your cheek, and then if your leprosy spreads over here, you still have it in your skin, but it's in your beard. But it's like literally talking about the beard and literally talking about like your shirt or your clothing, right? And then the house, I was like, that's crazy. You leprosy everywhere, bro. Just burn it down. Just burn it down. All right. Anybody else want to share before we go to next week's Torah portion? Yep. Sister Hava said, or even eating meat rare, you get scolded at the restaurant for wanting well done. Yeah, I noticed that. Like when you out and about and they ask you how you like your steak and you say, I want it well done. Or if you say medium rare, but you like, I want it to be fully cooked through, they like kind of looking at you weird. Like they give you that side eye, like, no, brother, I want to cook. I don't want nothing runny. I don't want nothing pink.
I'm like, get mine well done. I don't want nothing running off this plate.
Hey, you muted or something, man.
Who, me? Oh. Can you hear me?
Oh,
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Apparently, Solomon Prophet's having some technical difficulties. But yeah. So
he's about to pop up the Torah portions for next week.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, all of the instructions that we receive from the Torah, right? All the instructions that the Most High gave to Moses are for our benefit, right? They're for us. And I know I've said this ad nauseum on Shabbat Talks, but it really is true. It's not something that's just there arbitrarily, just to tell you to do it for no reason. There's reasons behind all of it. It's all for us.
Exactly.
And the more we observe these things, the more we do what the Torah says, the better off we're going to be.
Absolutely. Sorry about that.
Good.
The person we finna watch an interview before he over here messing with my system. No, we're back though. We definitely back. All right. So next week's Torah portion is Leviticus chapter 16 verse 1 through chapter 18 verse 30, Ezekiel chapter 22 verse 1 through 19, and Hebrews chapter 9 verses 11 through 28. I'll leave it up here for a short period so you guys can take your screenshots, write it down, do whatever you need to do with it. Okay. And while we watch these videos, I want y'all to really get into the discussion because he's gonna talk. Obviously this is it's like a theatrical, right? It's a fictitious interview, right? Somebody put on makeup, put on a mask, dressed up, they recorded the video. But what he's saying is really interesting. What he's saying is truly interesting. And so I want y'all to really tell me what y'all think. Let's have a discussion. Let's break it down. All right. So, does anybody have any preliminary thoughts? I know the people on the panel. I shot out the link to the short snippet that we watched at the beginning of the show. I sent it to you guys. I think yesterday or today, depending on the person. Any preliminary thoughts before we play the actual video and get into it?
I mean, I would just say again, Bible's coming true. It literally says good will become evil and evil will become good. And that's literally where we are. Where these things you never thought would be out in the open in the mainstream, being debated and discussed. People keep it in their dark basements. You never thought that stuff would actually be out for logical thinking people and all this stuff with college degrees and all that stuff. You know, our artificial, assumption of like what knowledge and education and wisdom comes from, like the degrees and all that. But it's like these people are the ones that's really arguing these topics, and it's like this is common sense stuff. But just because we are in the end times and those spirits, like I don't know if you know who Jonathan Kahn is, and like that one book, what is it, The Ancient Spirit? I mean, I haven't read it, but it's like how he described that is sounded so like where those spirits of ancient past are here again, and they're people are letting them take over them because the stuff that was happening again, like the days of Noah, is all just repeating. So
yeah, and there's really nothing new under the sun,
Exactly.
I mean, it has been going on. It's going to continue to go on, and yeah,
Absolutely. All right, let's get on to beginning the video.
Are you interested in starting your own faceless YouTube automation channel, but all people do is tell you to go to freaking Fiverr and Upwork?
Whoa. Lucifer in the flesh. Do you know how many journalists would kill? Wait, you probably do. First, I want to say thank you to agreeing to this interview because I know you are a very, very busy person.
Yes. I usually like to fly under the radar. But I figured since I'm already on the campaign trail, why not?
Okay. First, let's talk about your reign. Now, you've had a fairly long one. What would you attribute to your success and popularity?
Oh, that's easy. Every generation is the same. I appeal to their lust and ego. I offer all the sex, wealth, and fame a person could want. Do as thou wilt has been my campaign slogan from the start. And my campaign platform hasn't changed either. I run on the same three issues every generation. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and pride of life.
So, real quick, I know we just got this started, but what y'all think about what he said so far out the gate?
What does he mean, like all three generations?
I mean, it really is. That's what's going on. It's always trying to appeal to our egos. I mean, you can watch advertisements, for example, and every advertisement is trying to appeal to your ego, right? And that's what the enemy does. He tries to appeal to your ego. He tries to get you focused on the flesh and not what's really important.
And I don't know if this is what he meant to, obviously because, fictitious interview, but like you can take three generations, you can think of like a grandparent, a parent, and a child. Like those are like three generations. And look at today's grandparents. They're like, look like young kids trying to hang with the grandkids and dress like the young people, and they're not wise anymore. They're not like traditional. A lot of them, even parents. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe he that's just what came to my mind when I thought of three generations, but it could mean something else.
It could be mean. I don't know. Maybe he just meant like multiple generations. Like every generation is the same. We all fall for the same things. And that's what, like they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's working, why change it up? You know what I'm saying? If that's your bread and butter and it's working, don't switch it up. But Sister Ava makes a good point here. A lot of times when you see things about the devil or Satan or whatever, they always depict him as this like demonic, demon looking dragon type figure with horns and pitchforks and stuff. And I don't know if you guys were able to make the Shabbat talk that we did a while back, covering who is the devil, who is Satan, right? But definitely it's not widely talked about that he was an angel, right? He was beautiful, right? Now, can he appear in different forms? Yes. But like, if your first thought of the devil as this demonic, evil-looking being, that's why a lot of people can be deceived easily, because he doesn't show. And the scripture says that he appears as an angel of light too. So, just something to think about. But definitely good point, sis.
Yeah, this was, like off rip, just super deep, in my opinion, because we already know just the pattern of the enemy. And so he's very patient. There's like a slow drip, you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't really do things, like he said in the beginning, out in the open. He usually flies under the radar. He's real cunning and real, just a little bit here and a little bit there. People don't really realize that it's a very slippery slope. And generation after generation, it's been a little bit more of do as thou wilt, even from, when we think about like our grandparents and great grandparents, like the rock and roll generation, how everybody was like, oh, get that rock and roll off the airwaves, and, going crazy over it. The older ones, but the younger generation, they were like, no, we love this music. We want to gyrate our hips and da-da-da-da. And it slowly turned into twerking, and now babies are twerking, and, all of these things. And I do understand, the essence of twerking did stem from, a certain sect of African spirituality as well. So, it's just a very slippery slope. But also, as we were discussing the third generation, as he said, the third generation, it actually comes from Numbers 14, where it says, Yahweh is long-suffering and great in compassion, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. So basically what he's saying is like, if there was transgression present in this first generation, which there was, then the iniquity is going to be visited upon the third and the fourth generation, and it's just going to wax greater and greater, because each time more and more is going to be let slide. It's not going to be nipped in the bud. It's going to be acceptable. More abomination is going to be able to be acceptable in the sight. So
Absolutely, great point. And I can't agree with you more. Like, it's been systematically desensitizing us over the years. Like, when I was coming up, remember when, and even more so before I was born, because I was only born in 1990. I'm over here talking like I'm, an old timer, but I feel like it sometimes, especially dealing with these younger generations. But I remember when I was coming up, if you didn't listen to your parents, right, you got your ass whooped. Let's just be real, right? I can't remember.
You got knocked out.
Right. Look, now society is like, you should talk to your kids and not put your hands on them. And even if you put your hands on them now, you can go to jail. Like, easy. And I know there's parents who want to be more physical in terms of discipline, but they're just so scared of administering that type of discipline and leaving a mark. And then now they get locked up, and it's a whole bunch of stuff that really doesn't need to, you know what I mean? Like, you can clearly see if somebody's being abused, like in terms of like, oh, you came to school with a busted lip, a black eye, your ribs is super tender to the touch. It might be bruised up, you know what I mean? Like, you really getting some bruises. But like, coming to school because you can clearly see the belt mark. If you got belt marks on your butt or something like that, that means you just, a teacher back in my day would have seen that and been like, what you do? You know what I mean? It wouldn't have been an investigation. You know what I'm saying? So I think that also, that little bit of, pushing abuse into the atmosphere is a part of that systematic integration of trying to take away the control. Because now kids, like Sister Zakaria said, now they're out here doing everything, twerking, talking crazy, you know, talking back to their parents, talking back to other adults, doing stuff at school. Like it's running
Beating
rampant.
up teachers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can remember too, just real quick. I remember this like clearly when I was, that's like again back, you know, I would say back in my day, you know, when The Simpsons first came out, it's like early 90s. So I remember I was like in the living room with my mom, and Marge Simpson, she said like a cuss word. It wasn't anything like super bad, just like a, you know, simple little swear word. And I could remember the look on my mom's face because she never heard a cartoon swear. And that was just like the introduction. You fast forward now, you got, what is it? Rick and Morty and all of them, they're doing like violent, all kinds of crazy stuff, sexual stuff. And it's like people just laugh at it now. Even though, you know, I'm a part of, you know, with the Family Guy, when that first came out, it was hilarious. I used to laugh at that with my college friends. And, you know, it's like, you look at the difference, you know, that was just like the introduction. It was small. Even back in the day, 50s, you know, my husband and wife didn't even sleep in the same bed because they didn't want to even put that out there. And then now it's like you have soft porn on TV. Or, you know, it's just crazy. It's just
No,
crazy
for real. Yes.
over time, it's just boiling of the frog. You don't realize it's boiling. Like, wow, because kid, like I said, my sister, she's a director at the Boys and Girls Club back home, and she said little 3-4-year-olds, 6-year-olds, every other word is a swear word out their mouth, and then they don't know how to, like, somebody accident, like if another kid walks by and maybe trips and they, I don't know, maybe a pencil falls out of their hand and hits the other kid, they're ready to fight. Instead of, and she has to tell them, you know, that was an accident. You didn't mean it. Like, and their parents are just as ignorant. It's like, so it was just crazy. Like I said, at the time, the younger people are just, yeah, they feel bad for them.
You know, a lot of this is this is all so intentional, and you know, if you you really look at the plan of the enemy to corrupt the minds of people, what is going on is it's a progressive, systematic corruption, right? Because it's not something that can be changed overnight. You know, I like to refer to it as the totalitarian tiptoe, right? Where
I like that.
Yeah, if you want to go from point A to point Z, right? And if you just went straight to Z, everyone would be in an uproar and saying, "How could you do this? Why would you do this? Oh, it's so horrible," and they would go crazy about it. But if you go A, B, B, C, C, D, and sometimes you can even skip a step, right? Because it's the degradation of it's gotten to the point where you can skip a step and achieve the goal, or get closer to the goal a little bit faster, but you still have to tiptoe to it. Otherwise, people would be like, no, you know, and
exactly.
And an example of that is, so not to get too far off topic, but I think this does apply. An example of that would be, so they fairly recently just said that they were going to start taking DNA swabs of anyone who committed a federal felony, right? Then it went to any federal crime whatsoever. So if you got anything that's federal, right? So even a traffic violation on federal property, you get a DNA swab. And what's going on is progressively they're implementing another thing. Oh, now you get a DNA swab for this. Now you get a DNA swab for this. Now you get it for this. And then pretty soon they just require it for everyone. Whereas if they had just said everyone needs to get a DNA swab, they'd be like, no, of course not. But after they've implemented it for so many things, they announce everyone gets it, and oh well, might as well. They've got everyone else anyway. You know what I mean?
Yep. June 2020 is my wake up to all of this. You know, I was oblivious, just living in my own little bubble, and then it popped in 2020, and all this became so clear because I literally sat down and just asked, "Yeah, can you show me?" I feel like there's something. I have no idea because I never watched the news, never political, none of that. But I just felt there was something wrong. I had no idea what. And I literally just sat down and just say, "Hey, yeah, you know, God, can you?" At the time, it was like, "Lord, can you just show me the truth?" I feel like there's something there. I just don't know what. And then all this stuff just like, you ask, oh man. It opened my eyes. I'm like, whoa, this world is not what you think it is.
Yep, absolutely. And I don't know if it was this. I don't know if this was you, brother Greg, or if this was somebody else on the panel, or just somebody I was having a conversation with. But what comes to mind when I hear about that progressive approach is like thinking about like the boiling of the frog. How you started off at a low temperature, the frog is just used to it, and you slowly crank up the temperature over time, and before you know it, the frog doesn't even realize that it's being boiled alive. You know.
Mm-hmm. Whereas if you just turned it up real fast, he'd jump out. He'd be like, "Ah, this is hot." But because it's so slow and incremental, it doesn't. You know, it starts with just little things, right? And then, you know, anything that's, I forget the exact quote, but it was something that anything that is tolerated by one generation becomes normal for the next. You know.
Yep.
There's a
Do y'all watch this I watch a thing on YouTube. It's called Truth Unedited. He say a lot of good stuff. Y'all heard of him?
Yeah.
No. Okay. I like him, but one of the things that he was talking about goes on lines what you say tiptoe totalitarian. What you say? Totalitarian tiptoe. So more plainly, he calls them allegiance checks. And it's those little small things that so God gives us, I call them tests over time to let you know how he's speaking to you. Right? Little things. It could be something told me to get up and go get this, and something told me that you realize that is yeah, right? Then you have big political things that happen, like the COVID shot was one of them. Allegiance checks. So all this time, y'all has been trying to show you this is what my voice sounds like. So when Satan comes with his things, his power, who are you going to follow? Which system? Which beast power? You know, these allegiance checks. So if you don't recognize what Professor S says, that these little baby things over time, the temperature's been getting hotter and hotter. When it's finally hot, and you got that allegiance check, you got to know y'all's voice.
Mm-hmm.
In the words of my dear sister Zakaria, that jibby jab stibby stab, we got to talk in code, or they gonna take the video down.
Yeah, you gotta say in code. The juice or the pin cushion, like Peggy Hawk calls it, human pin cushion.
Jibby jab stibby stab. I love it. Ever since he said that, I was like, bro, I'm keeping that.
I call it Satan serum. So.
But yeah, absolutely. And Truth Unedited, I watched a couple of that brother's videos. Very, very knowledgeable brother. He shares a lot of good information. He kind of stirred the hornet's nest when he made that preterist video, because I felt like the preterists weren't adequately represented in that video. I feel like if you're gonna make a debunk type of video like that, you gotta like actually know the other side of what you're talking about. And so I shot it to my brother who's a preterist, and he went in on like 5 different lives. It was like his live was going and he cut it off because he was having some type of technical difficulty. But yeah, shout out to brother Elvin, man. But yeah, absolutely, brother Truth United. I forget his name, but he be coming out with some good stuff.
I didn't know he had a name. He be so anonymous.
Ron, yeah,
right.
His name is Ron. Yeah.
Oh, Ron. Okay, got you. Okay, getting back to the video.
Okay. When you say lust of the flesh, what exactly do you mean?
Come on now. What do I mean? Isn't it obvious? I just use humans' own innate physical desires against them. And since sexual desire seems to be the most powerful, I usually run with that. Now, I didn't create sex, but I must say I've done a superb job at perverting it. Take pornography, for example. Well, you should know a lot about this one, Ivan. Weren't you addicted to porn?
This interview is about you, not about me. Can we get back on subject?
Now, Where was I? Oh, yeah. What I do is gradually get someone addicted to porn. And once lust has had its full work and he and she can no longer restrain themselves, they usually look to act out their fantasies on someone. And sometimes that someone is a child. Now, if my plan plays out perfectly, that abused child will eventually turn to a life of promiscuity and perversion themselves, allowing me to continue my vicious cycle. And here's the kicker. Many of those abused girls end up right in the porn industry. Now, how's that for irony?
I'm trying to pick good places to stop it. But I think that was a decent little stopping point. But what y'all think about the point in regards to lust and, you know, dealing with the appetites of the flesh and how everything comes full circle in that toxic cycle?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It really does, because, you know, whenever someone indulges in something that they shouldn't, or overindulges in something that's okay in moderation, whenever they do that, it ends up becoming to a point where they just can't get enough, and they end up in this spiral that seems like you can't get out of. You know what I mean? And it can be anything from overeating to smoking dope, or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, it becomes a bigger issue over time. You know, even just eating bad food. You know what I'm saying? Like eating bad food, because there's chemical addictions that take place in your brain when you eat something with monosodium glutamate, for example, and which is a deadly toxin, right? But it's in like so much food, like, and all your fast food chains have monosodium glutamate in them. But after so long, you get to where you crave it, and if you don't eat it, you start actually feeling sick. I had a friend years back. He worked right next to a McDonald's, so he would eat McDonald's every day, right? And after so long, he didn't realize that he was addicted to it. But there was one point, he didn't eat it for like 3 days, and he got this horrible migraine headache. It was a terrible headache, right? And he could not figure out why. But he got hungry, so he went to McDonald's, and he said before he even swallowed it, he ate the McDonald's burger, and he was still chewing it, and the headache went away. Because they've got all of this garbage in there. And that's the thing, whenever you indulge or overindulge in things, it progressively causes issues in your life. And you can easily become addicted to this stuff. There's all kinds of chemical reactions that take place in your body when you do something, regardless of what it is. And over time, you become addicted to it. And so what he was saying in that interview, it's very appropriate and pretty literal too, you know?
Yeah. Monosodium glutamate is MSG for those people who didn't know. MSG.
I sure did not know. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting.
I knew it was a poison, but I didn't know it was MSG. Oh, okay.
MSG.
or artificial sweeteners too. Those things are actually chemically addictive to the body.
Yeah, you know, there's those tests that they do on lab rats where they give them crack or like cocaine and then sugar, and they prefer the sugar. Even, you know, once they do the test, they run to the sugar over the crack because it's so addicting. That's why, yeah, like I said, people get headaches and stuff. His body's starting to detox, but you don't know that because you're going through those withdrawals and it hurts. But yeah, I mean, just based on that piece of what he said in video, yeah, that's true, because again, Yah gave us, you know, sexuality and sex between the man and married men and women, right, to be able to enjoy that. But Satan found a way to be able to exploit it, right? Because again, being a kid, even, you know, me, and I notice that millions of other people can relate. It always starts with either like a friend or a schoolmate, where you go to school, you're innocent, right? You go to school, you go to a friend's house, you have somebody sleep over, and then what happens? They find their parents' stash of what? Porn, magazines, or videos, and then you watch it, you don't really know what it is, but then it's like triggers something in you, so then it grows, and as you get older, puberty, then it triggers all that, like what he's saying in the video. And then, like you said, it's just crazy how, like, those women that get abused and they end up being in the porn industry, or they get sex trafficked, unfortunately, right? And they get drugged up to do that stuff. But it's like he found the stuff that y'all meant for good and pleasure to exploit and make it for evil, because it is a strong urge we have, naturally. But within the confines of your home, and between you and your partner, your wife or your husband. But yeah. So yeah, that's true. I agree with what he said.
And it becomes physically addictive too, because all these chemicals being released in the body, and once you stop having it, it becomes addictive.
Yeah, but once you get over that, like you say, resist the devil when he flee from you. That's the hard part, because like you say, you feel the withdrawal. But once you get past that third, fifth day, whatever, it is like it gets easier. Then it's like, wait, now I can think clearer. Now actually I'm calmer, or whatever it is. But just get over that hump, and that's why you have like the support team and fellowship, deliverance, because once that stuff enter your body through, whether it could be seances, maybe you played the Ouija board when you were a kid, or doing Bloody Mary and all that stuff in the mirror, Candyman, right? And it's like you don't realize you're opening those doorways. But then once you realize it, you repent of it, turn away, and then you get deliverance, get all that stuff. But it's just crazy how Satan can. Because I remember me initially, right prior to 2020, I always believed, in the Bible and God and Jesus and all that, but I never really knew what it really meant to follow him. And then what did I start to do? Add new age stuff because I had no idea. Oh, you can wear this crystal, which is good healing energy. Oh, cool. Okay. Right. Because I didn't read the Bible. I didn't really know it. Oh, I just believe in that's good enough. But then y'all showed me back in 2020, all this stuff. Like I had crystals, which I had no idea, that was even bad. So I repented of that. I had stuff that people gave me for birthday on my wall, like little tiki masks and all that stuff. But it's like, he creeps in so nonchalant. And it starts with stuff that has nothing to do with him. It do with positive energy and good and healing and universe and all that. So it's just like he's very clever. And it's like when y'all woke me up, I thanked him and repented of that. But it's like you sometimes you don't even realize it until you're like, wow, how did I get here?
And it starts with a perversion of the truth, right? Because there's truth to all that stuff, right? Otherwise, no one would ever believe it.
Exactly.
It would be like, oh no, it doesn't, But the progressive perversion of it is what causes it to go from being good and what Elohim intended for it to be used for into something completely foreign and strange. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep. I agree.
Yep.
Because another way you could say that Satan tricked people is like, I don't know if you know, like fraternities and sororities, those are all worshiping another god, but they make you think that you're taking this pledge of brotherhood and sisterhood when really you're not.
Yeah. And you think about what they do, some of them, what they do have the seances, and then what do you have to do, like the paddling and
Right,
they
but
have goats,
like
which represent Satan.
they make you
People
think
don't
you
even
go to
realize it.
college. They make you think you're joining this sorority, this brotherhood, this sisterhood, but really you're just praying. You're pledging your allegiance to another god, and it's deeper than what most people think on top of the surface of what really is. But it's crazy. It's just deceit.
Yeah, as rooted as Satanism. When you look back at where there's origins of those sororities and stuff, because then they have goats. Some people, they have like the live goats in there, and they either have to do something nasty to it or sacrifice it. And it's like, okay, what does that have to do with going to school and getting like what does that have to do with getting a degree and even though that's a scam, right? Paying all that money for something you don't even use, but yeah, it's just once you realize the truth of it. But so many people are deceived, right? Because they don't realize, they just do what other people do without thinking.
And that goes too for HBCUs. I don't know if nobody knows this. The HBCUs are funded, so it can say it's a historically black college, but it's funded by George Soros and all of them, who are evil people at the end of the day. So when you dig deep into this, all of it's a lie. Y'all woke us up to see it, but it's crazy. You think that you're doing something, you spend money to go to this HBCU and stuff like that for what?
Yeah.
Exactly. Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, sis. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, most of, just like what Sis was saying, most of the HBCUs are not only funded by, but founded by, like even Spelman College in Atlanta. That's Rockefeller's wife. Her maiden name was Spelman, so it's literally named after her. And most of these HBCUs are. But I wanted to land back also off of what Professor S was saying, because it's really common. And I like the fact that in the video, they went to the lust of the flesh because I think the sexual lust of the flesh is the most like relatable and most familiar to people. But lust of the flesh is so much more. It's so many things. It's vanity, it's greed, it's gluttony, just like Professor S was saying. There are so many different things that lust of the flesh have to deal with. And as he brought up, it could even be like eating food and eating a certain types of food. That gluttony, that's still a lust of the flesh. It's not only sexual, but I think it's important, as the video said, a lot of these things, it's like those spirits, they're never satiated, they're never satisfied. So it's inevitable. As long as you keep that door open, that spirit is going to want more and more and more and more. And from the prime example that they
They
gave,
hunger
like with the
and
lust,
keep satisfied, you know.
yes, they're never satisfied, literally. And we know that even from like, like we'll see like these movies of like these gangsters and stuff, and it's like they got billions, they got crazy money, but they're never satisfied. And it's because they've opened so many doors to these spirits of murder, spirits of lust, spirits of greed, spirits of vanity. All of these things have now bombarded them, and it's like they can never get enough, because that's not the most high. It's never gonna be satisfied. It's never going to satisfy them, and that's what they don't realize. But they have to keep going because they're so far in it. Then you know what I'm saying? Like it's hard for them to get out once you're so far gone. And this is why Yahusha even said it is harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than for a camel to enter through the eye of the needle. And of course, like it's not an actual camel through the eye of the needle, but it still was very, 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 very difficult. Then that's because once you allow these spirits to come in and take over, it's really hard to break away from those things and to release those things that you have acquired and gained and gotten through these means. But those spirits, they're not going to stop. And so what is so important and what I thought was so pivotal, just about what he brought up in the video about the vicious cycle of it all. Like eventually it's going to get to the fact that these people are going to like children now. And now these children are going to be scarred. And then these children end up in these same porn videos that they started off with before. And it's just like, it's so true. I mean, they really, that was a great point that he made. And I feel like he really hit that one on the head to like really wake people up. Like you can't even let the enemy get a foothold because it's that serious.
Yep, absolutely. And you see how it could be anything from just lusting of the flesh, having sex, watching porn, and like, not saying this is every single person, not every single person that's a prostitute or a stripper or somebody who's in the LGBTQ community were in some way, shape, or form like abused, right? But a huge majority of them are, right? Some of them don't speak about it, but a lot of them end up coming out at some point and sharing their story. And there's been some type of sexual abuse, some type of molestation, or some type of huge influence of lust, porn, some of those introductory type of drugs, so to speak, right? To get them to that point. And it's a slow and monotonous process that happens. And before you know it, now people are selling their bodies, or in the middle of the club, showing their bodies for profit, or, saying that this is now their identity and this is who they are and this is who they've always been. And like Sis just said, like even like having an interest in the children, like, and then unfortunately those children who get molested and abused, then they end up growing up and doing the same thing to, another child, and just perpetuating that cycle.
Or end up in that community, like I said, because it's crazy. Like I said, it's that cycles, like, and then it just keeps going and keeps. That is, yeah, he did hit that on the head, how he, described it. Even though it says a fictitious interview, but bringing up some real points.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing you had mentioned, I believe, you said lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes. Can you elaborate?
Humans are never satisfied. You always crave more. Bigger house, bigger car, more money, more power. The list goes on and on. I just take their natural ambitious desire, pervert it, and use it against them for their own destruction. My plan is to allow them to never be content. As long as I can keep them craving what others have, I can depend on them to argue, fight, even kill to get it. Humans are so easily tricked into jealousy. And you know what they say. Jealousy is as cruel as the grave.
Yes, I have heard that before. The last thing you had mentioned was, I believe.
Anybody got anything on the lust of the eyes?
I was about to say something and it slipped my but I mean, what is it? It don't really have nothing necessarily to do with it. But yeah, the eyes, definitely, because people who are blessed to be able to have, vision, we use our eyes for everything. We take it for granted. We don't realize how much, we have to see stuff in order to function, move, drive, all this stuff. And then, so yeah, visually, it's like everything we just talked about before. A lot of that comes through the eyes, right? Because you see stuff and then it triggers all the intense feelings and all that other stuff. But it is a strong tool to use that Satan uses for people, for weaknesses and to, get people to commit different sins. But yeah, the eyes are powerful. Like what was the one saying? The soul is in the eye, or
the eyes are the windows to the soul.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, the eyes are the windows to your soul for sure.
Yes, I totally agree with everything Brother Greg said. And then what it reminded me of when he was talking about, the old people saying about about jealousy, it reminded me of the scripture that's like, and I hate paraphrasing, I apologize, y'all, but it says something along the lines of, where there is envy, there is strife and every wicked work. So, being envious of or coveting, which is of course against the 10 Commandments, being jealous and being envious and coveting what other people have, that's just going to lead to every wicked work. It literally opens the door to every single evil work, every single one. And I thought that was really powerful, because it really does. Like when you look at all the things that be happening when people get jealous, and people be murdering each other, people want to get back, people be stealing, people be they'll do anything. They will do anything. And so that was very, very true, very powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that jealousy, man. That jealousy really will be the motivation for some of the most horrendous things, and people don't even recognize it as such because their eyes are blinded to it. But jealousy is man, it can be really bad.
Yeah, the point just brought up as far as the coveting, as far as when you, because obviously it's different between, like, if you see somebody successful, like, you don't want to work hard to be successful, but you're not necessarily envious of them, jealous of them. It's motivating you. But when you just, oh man, I want that person's life, or I wish I was this, like I want that person's life, or whatever, that all that stuff is like, it could be dangerous, lead to dangerous grounds.
What come to my mind was that's where sin originally started from. Eve was in the garden, she's seeing the fruit and it looked good. Yeah, the lust of her eyes. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yep, the lust of the
eyes. Good point.
Great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
The Pride of Life. Now, how does this fit into your campaign platform?
Humans are always on a quest for knowledge. I tricked the first humans to seek carnal knowledge over godly wisdom, and it's worked like a charm every generation since. With more knowledge comes more pride, and pride is my specialty. And since humans don't like to keep God in their wisdom, I'm able to seduce them with all types of things to help puff up their ego.
Hold on, I got to touch on this one real quick, more so from like ministry type of standpoint, leadership type of standpoint. You should always keep a humble spirit, no matter how much you're acquiring knowledge and understanding, right? The more, and like the people who study and learn, they understand this to be a fact, because it is a fact, but not everybody gets it. Is the more you know, the more you actually realize that you don't know anything. right? And so it's like you see that tall hill, that tall mountain, you finally climb it, you get to the top, and you realize it wasn't even nowhere near at the top. You got a whole nother, legs to go up. But the more you know, the more you realize you don't know anything. And that can be motivation to continue learning and never remaining stagnant. But when you learn a lot, it's easy for your ego to speak to you like, man, you've read all of these books, you studied all of this, you the man, like, and then people stop learning and they just get puffed up in their ego. And then that's when you start to see people get led astray, because I see this all the time in different leadership positions, in different ministries, different platforms, different churches, different, everything. Like, you're like, bro, how long you been studying? You've been studying for how many years? And this is the only way you're at? But you're so arrogant. Like, the arrogance just increases as their knowledge increases. And so I urge anybody, if you're studying, if you're reading, if you're in some type of leadership position, the more you study, the more you read, and the more knowledge, wisdom, and understanding you get, keep that humility. Keep that humility.
It really should be humbling to gain knowledge rather than causing you to become prideful and puffed up, right? Gaining knowledge should be a humbling thing, but at some point, a lot of people think, oh, now I know it all, and they get to a point where they're no longer learning anything because
like teachable and coachable.
Yeah, they think they know everything, and really, you don't know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? And everyone should always keep that in the forefront of their mind is, hey, I don't know what I don't know. What can I learn? You know what I mean? And how can I adjust what I think I know when I'm presented with new information if the information is valid? You know what I mean?
Yep. And Brother King hit it right, like perfectly. You say the more you learn, you realize you know nothing. And it's like when you realize that, you stay humble when you realize you know nothing. Because imagine everybody on the call or listening to this later, imagine things you thought you knew, 5-10 years ago, and you were confident you knew that, and then now it's like that's total BS or whatever. You're wrong, and it's like, wow, I was so right, or I knew I was right, back then, and now that because like for example, like this is just one example. Like once I saw, for me, it's like confirmed truth of like the Shabbat based on the moon. I was like, okay, how come everybody else isn't just like this, that simple for them to learn? Like I have some people I fellowship with, great people, but they're not fully, it's like they go back for something that try to consider it and they dismiss it. But knowing, because even with that, as confident as I am that this is the truth, it's like staying humble and knowing that I know nothing keeps me humble. And we don't have arguments or anything. Yeah, we might have little friendly debates showing scripture back and forth, but it's not like I'm right and you're wrong, you got to listen to me. But it's just knowing that, staying humble. And I always, no matter what topic it is, no matter what I feel that I know, always every day I ask Elohim, Yah, to be like, please keep me humble. Please don't I don't want to be deceived. I want to continue to learn, even though I feel like this right now. It's just, please keep me humble so I don't ever get arrogant. Because like, imagine that topic where we are so confident we know the truth. It's just, you naturally want to kind of look down on somebody else, like, oh, you're being stupid, or you're wrong. And it's like, because you're so confident that you know this, that they don't know. So and I've seen that happen many of times.
Absolutely.
So like you said, the preachers that you could tell, the ones that their ego radiates off of them, like that arrogance just radiates off of them, and they are blinded to learning and adapting because they're so confident they know it all. Like now they can't even learn anything because they're so blinded by their ego. And ego's edging. EGO stands for edging God out. EGO stands for edging God out.
Absolutely. And another thing is terms of keeping that humility, especially if you're in like a teaching capacity, because not everybody's apt to teach. Just because you have the information doesn't make you a teacher. You also have to remember that those who are coming to you for information, or those whom you're sharing information with, or those who you've established some type of, student mentor type of role with, that you're mentoring somebody, keep in mind that you were once in their shoes. A lot of times we get this information and we learn it, and now we're on another level. But then when someone is seeking the information, we treat them as if they're less than us. Like, no, brother, like 6 months ago, you was right where he was. So help him, teach him, understand where he's coming from, and help him get the information so he can be where you are. Not, oh, I'm looking down on you because you don't have the information. Like, you gotta keep remembering that you were once there, right? So keep that humility.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was gonna bring up the same point you brought up, Brother Greg, about the Shabbat. It's like, okay, well, we were once somewhere where we thought we was right. We coming into the truth and we like, oh yeah, I'm done with SUN day. I'm on the SAT day because that's the real day.
Exactly.
We just knew we was observing the correct one, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe not. So, you just got to keep that humility. But, when you think about it, had we not had some sort of humble nature about us, we would still be over there like, yeah, SAT day, and just be loud and wrong. But I think that's another, really big problem with a lot of people. I don't want to say a lot of people, but a lot of what's going on in the awakening and people coming to the real knowledge of scriptures and how to please the Father. Because in the terms of Hebrew Israelites, I don't claim Hebrew Israelites because of what I've seen in the lack of humility. Like
that ego
it has now tainted the true awakening and what the Father actually stands for, because now we have all these people that are like screaming at people on the streets, and instead of coming to them like Prophet said, in humility and being like, okay, I was once there, let me speak to you like a decent human being, instead of just yelling
kiss
at
my
people
shoes, kiss my shoes.
and
Get on the
like,
kiss my
I mean,
shoes.
I thought I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm thankful that I've never been involved in camps and things like that, because I've seen that, and thankfully the Father was like, girl, stay away from that. So it is so. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, but it's so important to really remain humble, because at the end of the day, it's like, even as Hebrew Israelites, as quote unquote the bloodline, which not a lot of people are even sure they are, but even if you were, we have to remember that we are the people who literally spit in the Father's face, who disgraced him more than any other nation. That doesn't cause for any type of pride, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we're the chosen people. We're the chosen people who literally disrespected the Father to the utmost capacity. We should be on our faces, humbling ourselves truly, truly, at the fact that he has even decided to take us back. I mean, because at the end of the day, if we had done anything of the sort to our significant others and what we've done to the Father, it would be a no-go. No, honey, do you stay over there? So it's like, at the end of the day, we have to honor and respect the fact that, and we have to be humble to the fact that the Father is even willing to consider us and take us back through the repentance. And, thankful to Yahusha, who came and allowed us to remember the way, truth, and life, and how to get back to the Father through his repentance, through his sacrifice. And then my last point, I apologize, y'all. I just love y'all, But, my last point, I totally agree with Silent Prophet, because as leadership, it is so important to remain in that humble posture. And I just want to say, and I just want to give props to Silent Prophet, honestly, because he has exemplified that. And I don't know if y'all have heard, I'm sure most of us have heard his album Goat Killer. Man, when I tell you my son plays that album on repeat, but I love it because the children are like, goat killer, and then they're like, yeah, I had to kill the last goat was me. I had to kill my pride and my ego. And they're 5 and 7. Actually, my son just turned 8. They're 5 and 8, and for them to hear him say that and to understand, oh, we need to remain in a posture of humility, like, that's big. Like, I know y'all probably don't know, but Solomon is my children's Yah father. Like, so they really, really look up to him. And so to me, it's very big for them to have that example of leadership, to not only see him exemplify it, but to hear it in his songs, to watch him do it, to actually observe and witness him being that humble leader. Because even the other day, he and I were talking, and it was like, he felt like I could tell that he feels a type of way now, because even though I may not understand or may not see, because I can sense when my brother feels uncomfortable or strange about something that I may be making a decision about. Now, because I've seen his humility and the things that we've discussed, because we don't always see eye to eye, but he's always been so patient. He's always so patient. He's always so kind. He's like, hey, look, I just want to show you this. And if I don't agree, it's not, no, oh, you're not my sister no more, or it's nothing crazy. And so because of that, now I'm able to be like, okay, well, I sense that maybe this decision he is not fully on board with. Let me evaluate and let me take the time and respect out of him because he has shown me such humility. Let me now evaluate on this decision and see if this is actually the right decision. Because at the end of the day, he's not going to be controlling as my leadership, but he is going to express his opinion and he is literally going to be there to support me. And so anytime I feel that, I'm like, okay, well, let me go ahead and evaluate. And that humility is so important because it allows the people under you to make their own decisions, but it also allows them to see and observe the humility that's being presented so that they can respect your opinion regardless of whether it's different or not. And that's so important. So yeah, I'm done. I'm sorry.
Call him calmness is a new name.
It really comes down to this. Pride wants to be correct, right? Pride wants to be correct, but humility is concerned with what is correct, not that they have to be correct. It's what is right, And a prideful, you can instantly tell a prideful person when they don't care what is correct. They only care if they are correct. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You just see, and just going back to kind of the video, tying it in, you see how crafty Satan is, to where even though like you're maybe studying the word, maybe you're a preacher, whatever, but that pride kicks in, that ego, then it's like now he has you, even though you think you're doing the right thing, but he still comes. So he sets traps in every. Like I always tell people, there's a million ways to get to Satan, only one way to get to Yah, which is through Yahushua, right? And it's everything else leads to Satan, all these deceptions. And like even the word pride, think about it. Like you have, like he said, took the rainbow, Yah's promise, took one color off to make it 6, which represents a satanic number. Then even the word pride, like Pride Fest, is it's just crazy how all the symbolism is in stuff that people actually just pay attention. It's not random. Like these words and things, the colors, the choices, the number, the word is not random. It's all a strategic plan to show you, look, I put it in your face and you still chose to serve it. So, hey, that's on you now. I didn't tell you to take the Satan serum, that we didn't force it to you. That not, that's what they're saying now. But if you look at what happened, oh, you can't work if you don't do this. You can't do that. You can't go in the store if you don't do this. Oh, but we didn't force it on you. So it's like that, just that whole, like, what is it called? That gaslighting, or I don't know if that's the right term for it, but that whole just twisting and flipping things and making you get confused, and that's what he does best.
Absolutely. I told our sister Zakaria for that. I appreciate you. All praises to the Most High. May He continue to lead and guide all of us. I want to give a shout out to brother Andreas. He's been tuning in. I was backstage like, who was that? And Sister Andy was like, that's my son. I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna shout my brother out, man. All praises. So Shabbat Shalom, brother. Welcome. Glad you could make it. We cooking tonight. I'm loving this discussion.
I like the discussions.
Video reviews,
I used to watch.
Definitely got to do more of this.
Lately, fame has been my biggest seller. Who doesn't like attention and feeling more important than the next person? And once I make them famous, I can really use them to promote my agenda. With their help, I've convinced half of the world to not only accept sin, but to celebrate it. Do you know what has been my most enjoyable pride campaign to date?
No, what?
Well, my gay pride campaign, of course. Not only do I get the chance to promote your own self-destruction, I get to use God's logo, the rainbow, to do it. Love is love, right? My plan not only prevents you worthless humans from reproducing, It distorts the gender roles and allow me to bring all types of chaos and confusion upon your pathetic societies. It's been so successful, I've got men convinced they're women, and women convinced they're men, and some convinced they're no gender at all. And I've got 2 more Pride Initiative campaigns I'd like to introduce in the near future.
Really? I'm guessing you probably want me to ask you what they are, right?
Well, first, it's abortion pride. Now, I think we can pull this off. Society is definitely ready for it. I've enlisted the help of Planned Parenthood to work with marketing and promotions. And all we'll have to do is silence the so-called abolitionists and pro-lifers, because the rest of the church doesn't seem to care. And second is pedophilia pride. Now, society might not be ready for this one just yet, so we'll hold off. I need to desensitize them a little more before we introduce it.
Okay.
So this brother said, and I'm saying brother, not like the devil's my brother, but obviously he's an actor. But this brother said, it's live. This is going on the internet, folks. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta make it clear. They gonna be like, see, he said it. Gotta give him room.
It'll be like 6 years down the road, platform big, coalition huge, and like they pull up that one clip from years back, like, see, it's all the prophets. But what he said is that he said, not only have I gotten humanity to accept sin, but to promote it. You see what I'm saying? And y'all had just hit it on the head. We ain't even got to it yet. Oh, celebrate it, right? And Brother Greg hit it on the head with the rainbow, for he even mentioned the rainbow. Like, we on his head. We on his head, and he ain't even got to the parts yet. But yeah, absolutely. Like, it promotes death. It switches the gender roles. It removes the man out of the home, out of the household. It creates all of these different movements, like feminist movements. It's so much stuff that's a byproduct of it. And he's right there. He said, you know, our campaign is partnering with Planned Parenthood. Everybody on this panel has mentioned Planned Parenthood at some point in time, whether on these Shabbat talks or just in general conversation. We know what the agenda is. It's so apparent, and that's the reason why I wanted to go over this video tonight, because it's one thing to talk about it amongst yourselves, and like you kind of see what's the writings on the wall, and they do too, and you guys are having a conversation about it. But it's another thing to literally symbolically hear it coming from the horse's mouth, and you can hear the agenda from the other side, and you're able to like receive it and be like, man, like this is what we've been talking about this entire time, you know.
Mm-hmm. And you know, it's crazy. I was just curious. I just kind of looked up a video on YouTube. And at least the version I'm seeing, I don't know if it's the original, but that was posted 6 years ago. I thought this was like within the last 2 months. Everything he just said is literally what we're experiencing right now.
But I was just about to say that, though. I literally was about to say that because he said pedophilia, and I don't know if y'all follow what's going on, but they're literally putting it in our face. It's been here for years, but it's being exposed now by certain celebrities, i.e. Sean Diddy Combs' pedophilia ring. So everybody's coming out. So that's why when he just said that part, I'm just like, okay, we're already at the pedophilia. They're making it normalized now. Like you got
and you had R. Kelly years ago.
R. Kelly got away with it the first time, and then
people knew about R. Kelly years ago, and they would still listen to his jams.
Exactly, but because they got him off on it. But now you see exactly like you said in that video. Yeah, they're not ready for it. Oh no, they're ready for it, and they're accepting of the pedophilia, because you have to hear the excuses. I hear people talk about, oh well, maybe he didn't know. No, this is exactly what he just said in that video.
They call it minor attracted person now because that term is hurtful and offensive and all that stuff. But it's like they're trying to lighten it up. So again, people you had
groups like NAMBLA back in the 70s, even. You know what I'm saying? NAMBLA. Oh my goodness. And it's just this agenda has been clear. It's been going on for a while, you know, because there's people with certain perverted ideas and so forth. And it's not even a new thing. It's just that the public is now being desensitized to it, whereas in the past it was kept behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't think it was so much kept behind closed doors. I think it was just kept secret. But now it is no more secrets to anything. Like everything is being exposed. Everything. Like this is the year I truly believe that a lot of things that we thought maybe growing up we liked or something like that will be exposed.
Oh yeah, it's happening right as we speak.
Yeah. Somebody was getting ready to say something.
Yeah, so I was actually about to get into that also, of how everything is being exposed, everything is coming to light, because everything that's in the dark, everybody has heard this since they were younger. Everything that's in the dark comes to light, and everything has an end.
Mm-hmm.
So just as much as is being exposed now, as of it was hitting then, just as much as he's, you know, Lucifer, the evil, whatever, just as much as things are being shown, it's just shows that it's proven to us that what was already been said is coming to pass, basically. And was all that is going to come to pass one day, and it's going to all end. We just needed to see it to be able to end it. Like the Most High is all of it's gonna end. Everything comes to an end.
Really, it's only through contrast that we can recognize what's really good, right? And this, evil had to come to fruition. It had to come to pass. That's why, lots of people will say, well, why would the Father allow this to happen? Why would he allow all these things to go down, right? But it had to come to fruition. It had to be exposed. It had to be brought out to the light so that people could recognize it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yep. That's why Elohim is allowing this to happen, because without doing that, then people would not be able to see the contrast and then recognize it for what it is and recognize how evil it actually is, because this stuff, it's been going on for a long time, and we've got to see, we have to see it for what it truly is and how ugly it really is in order to be able to appreciate the good. So many people have a difficult time appreciating the good things in life, but it's really the adversity we go through that causes us to appreciate the good things even more,
Right. So, and a good example for me, I guess I would say a good example for me was the Biggie situation or whatever. Now that all this, P Diddy stuff is coming out, whatever, and some of my favorite then artists or whatever, like Biggie and Pac and all this other stuff, like a lot of people are now recognizing they was exposing it in their music the entire time. Like they was exposing everything that was going on in their music the entire time. So now it's just like people are going back. I'm one of those people that have went back to the lyrics and was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, he really did say that. Like this makes sense now. Like we was just jamming instead of like actually paying attention to what's going on in the lyrics or what they're trying to say behind the scenes. And now that everything is coming to light, which is why things need to come to light, it's just, now that everything's coming to light, it's like, wow, like,
yeah,
the Bible verse, darkness will be exposed. The truth will come to light. Is that we're seeing all it, like I said, it's been there, but is it being brought to the forefront? And we're literally people who have eyes to see and ears to hear who want it, because again, it's like it's there for everybody. It's not hidden anymore, but people are still rejecting it because, like, they can't like accept, so they still want to live in their little bubble. But it's out there, and we can see it clear now. They're not hiding. Even the Satanists doing their stuff in public now, they're not hiding anymore. It's just all out there. It's like being exposed.
Right, and the Most High, just like to kind of land back off of what Professor S was saying, Oh, sorry, I got my thing on. To land back on what he was saying, it's about choice as well. The Most High, just like He gave the people the choice when Masha or Moshe was, leading them. Choose before you this day which mountain are you going to go to. Here's life, here's death. Choose which one. And so He's giving us that choice now. And he's so kind to us, really, when you think about it, to make it so blatant that we can now be like, ooh, you know what? Whoa, I see that very clearly now. I'm gonna go ahead and step away and repent. Because if these things weren't exposed, we would probably, like we were just talking about earlier, we would probably be participating in things and doing things that are attaching us to the kingdom of darkness that we have no idea about. But now that they're being so blatantly exposed, now we have a choice. Now He's like, hey, listen, you're going to choose me or you're going to choose that other side. And, that's how we know it's getting closer to the time, too, because now it's getting to the point where it's like you cannot ignore this anymore. If you don't, quote unquote, see it, that's because you're choosing not to. So you have now made your choice. And so He's so kind to us, another way, like I said, to look at it instead of being like, oh, all this evil is taking over, because we know that He's in control. But really, it's Him being kind to us to let us know and to be able to see, like, hey, these are the things that are going on. Separate yourself. Come out of her, my people. And I'm thankful. I'm like, please expose it more so that we can know. Like, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
That's yeah, because without the exposure, we can't recognize how hideous it really is.
Yeah, that's why I call 2020 the year of the Great Awakening and the Great Separation. Just terms I came up because that was when it says been there, but I feel like that year was like, okay, yeah, I was really being grateful for people like me who was a little slow. Like, okay, I'm gonna put out there so there's no excuse. Like you're not good at math, okay, well, I'm gonna give you the answers right here in your face. It's like
I think it was Yah was waking up His people.
Yeah. And
even though man created it, Yah was like, okay, y'all can create it up, but I'm gonna give this opportunity for some of my people to wake up and let me show them what's really going on.
Yeah.
Yep. And we gotta realize too, or remember, we're in the time of the wheat and the tares. So the question that you begged, Professor S, you was like, some people may wonder why God will or Yah will allow these things, because he said it. If you pluck it up too early, you risk pulling up the wheat as well. And so if we put it into actual context, let's take we calling it pedophilia with R. Kelly, and he's not even the first. He's not the only. But let's take something like that. Let's say we plucked him up back then. How many of those people, the artists that we have back then, would have just simply resented their parents? Oh, y'all Christians, y'all this and that. How many times do we get that, right? Instead of seeing it for what it is. But now that y'all has let the tares grow up, He's plucking them up, and like you said, I think it was you, Greg, that said, okay, it's clear now. They're both plucked up. There's a clear difference between wheat and tare. If you choose that tare, it has its face of its own now. So if you want to be a part of the tares, we got to remember that. I know y'all had shared with me that there are 3 phases, and we are in the first phase, like you were saying, Greg. He told me it was called the familiarization phase. So we're in this phase where we've got the people who are in zeal of the law and the Bible. Like, we're all on this journey now, and it's been going on for years, way before 2020, right? But it is telling people who He is the way He wants us to know who He is, not the way this doctrine or that doctrine, this or that person. We're just in familiarizing ourselves. Some people are gonna turn to the law, some people not yet. Phase 2 is where all heaven breaks loose, is what I say. We ain't there yet, but we're gonna see the upwards of different prophets, and it's going to be the need to keep the law. Like, the tares are up, they're up. choose ye this day. Like it's going to be serious. But yeah, we're in that phase one where all of us right now, we're telling our friends, hey, the true Sabbath and, all those sorts of things. So, yeah, what y'all are saying is kind of confirming what was told to me about that. Wheat and tares.
And kind of to go off what you're saying, Keith, is like, hey, it's funny you say that because I was actually talking to some other believers about this. I say, there's all this, different things that are. So we have like the main belief, the Bible and Yahushua and coming down as a human and all that stuff, dying for our sins. But it's like, there's, like you said, the difference. Shabbat day, keep the law, not the law, eat this, don't eat that. So it's like a lot of people are still kind of scattered right now. But I was talking to some people, I say, you know what, I don't have any information or I'm not being necessarily shown this per se, but I have a feeling that inside of me, that it could be the Ruah, that all the true believers, no matter where they are right now, is going to be, like you say, crystal clear what the truth is. I says when it comes to like serving, you're going to have to the law and the true Shabbat because of what's happening in the world. Like it's going to kind of be not forced, but it's like you're going to see it clearly now, like the full truth. There's not going to be any debate between, okay, this is true and that's true. Like, okay, everybody's going to be going towards this same truth and leaving out all of that man-made doctrine and the falseness of that. So we're going to get cleaned up and all the true believers are going to come together and be one true body. But yeah, so what you're saying right now just confirms like what I was feeling that was going to happen.
Well, here's the thing, Greg. It becomes so obvious, when you really want to know the truth becomes so obvious. But when you don't want to know the truth, that's when it's confusing. That's when it's like, well, I don't know. I'm confused. Which way do I go? Because, when you really want to know the truth, it can be confusing at first, but it becomes obvious. It becomes very clear, right? And whichever level you're on, right? Because there's levels of truth, right? Yeah. But whichever level you're on, it becomes blatantly obvious when you really want to know the truth. But when you don't really want to know the truth, when it's the pride saying, oh, I want to be right, I've got to be right, that's when you can't see something that's right in front of your face. It can be right in front of your face, said in so many different ways that you still won't be able to see it. It's only when the veil is lifted, right?
Yeah, that's a perfect example because I've experienced, like talking to people. Again, just going back to like the Shabbat, right? But I think that's one of the biggest. I think it's going to play a huge, like I said, when it's something, whatever happens in the future, when the mark of the beast, whatever that looks like, something's going to be huge to where you're going to have to know the true like Shabbat and the true sky, the true festivals based on the sky and not man's calendar. Because it's like, what is it? Is it easier to follow the man-made calendar and just the one day to Sunday or Saturday? That's the easy, but Yah's calendar moves around on that calendar. And if you have a job and you're living in a society that, Satan built for us to have to work and just pay bills, we work just to slave away to pay bills and die, right? Make money just to give it away to pay bills. So it's like, that's our lives. But when you discover the truth, even if it's hard right now, you still seek and it's the truth. So you're asking for a way out and all this stuff versus somebody say, oh, well, that's too hard. How can you do that if you work a regular job? You can't do that. And they just completely shut it down. So it's like,
but see, here's the thing. I've never had a problem with that. Never had a problem with that. And even what seemed to be a problem actually ended up for my ultimate benefit anyway. I've never had a problem with that since I started keeping the Shabbat. And
I think what it is with everybody, it just comes to a time where, you have that awakening and everybody doesn't have it at the same time. And so you could talk to somebody till they're blue in the face and say, hey, this, hey, that, but they're not going to get it until they actually do the research themselves and accept and pray and ask for that discernment to explain that to them what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And for us, just remember that what we talked about just a few minutes ago is pride. Like, remember, those who are first shall be last, and those who are last shall be first. Remember the prodigal son. We are just blessed, and I'm sure we're all thankful that we've come into it at the time that we have. I talked to a lady that was in her 70s, and she said she'd been keeping the lunisolar calendar since she was 20-something years old. I didn't even know anything about it. Never even had anybody in my circle, but yeah, just remember us as we go on and as people are coming in, the same people that we've talked to and been talking to. Don't hit them with the "I told you so." Just love them and welcome, just like that father welcomed his son back.
Yep.
Amen.
Yep, that's a fact.
Change gears for a minute and talk about policy. Some may consider your policies destructive, dangerous even. What would be your response to that? What would you say to your detractors?
All of my policies are aimed to do one of three things: either steal, kill, or destroy. And if it's not doing one or all three of those things, then it's not in my agenda and I'm not promoting it.
Okay. I'm happy you said that. It seems as if you promote your agenda differently to different ethnicities. If so, why?
Of course, I'd be a fool not to. Take black people, for instance. As a people, they're super spiritual. So I can't really convince them that there is no God. What I have been able to do as of late is convince them that he's not the God of the Bible. Now, I've been real successful at promoting black consciousness and Islam in their communities.
I'm so happy you mentioned black people. It seems as if we've been at the very top of your agenda for quite some time. Why is that?
A few reasons. Black people helped me reach the masses. Now, as you know, I was over music in heaven. My beats were so dope, I got over a third of the angels to follow me. And once I got here to the earth, I needed artists and entertainers to help me promote my message here. Who better than black people? Black people possess all the natural rhythm and music ability that I need. And it's easy for me to influence them with money since so many of them grew up without it. Another reason I target black people is because they're strong mentally and physically. If black men were to ever find their identity in Christ, I'd be in trouble. So I try my best to destroy the black family structure and keep black men away from his family and the church. Drugs and incarceration are a couple of my more popular means. Without the head of the household present, I can become the head and influence the children without too much resistance.
So
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, it was acting up for a second. I was saying, wow, like,
yeah.
I mean, we hit on some of these points earlier in the show. Like I mentioned, removing the father out of the home and everything like that. But what y'all think about, specifically targeting certain demographics and using us as scapegoats?
But that's always been the plan. That's always been his plan. And he has people in power, or you want to say the elites of the world, that execute his plan. This has always been the plan. Black people have always been known to be strong, to be able to endure a lot. So why not attack the black family? But it ain't just blacks, and I hate that he says that because it's blacks and browns. It's a target because they feel as though if they destroy the family at home, then the kids will end up in the system. Like it's all a part of his plan. It's all a game, and it's sad, but we have to overcome it. That's the biggest thing. So that's why, in today's world, they have so much gay and queer and all that other kind of stuff. That's why when I people talk about it, or I come in interactions with people, I ask them, did you pray? Did you really think about that? Because God didn't make no mistakes. Like when you were born, y'all didn't say, okay, you were supposed to be a boy, but you're really going to be a girl today. Like there's no mistakes made. But the world makes you believe that.
Yep.
And it's cool to do that. So again, just like he said, he hit the nail on the head. They give these artists all this money, or they plant these artists in these situations to promote the message, which is to have single black women raising kids, and then they're raising young men, which a man needs to be in the home with a young man to be raised properly, so that it messes it up and then they get into trouble and then they're in the system. So it's all by design.
Yep.
Yeah.
As he said, to kill, what did he say?
Kill and destroy.
Exactly.
Kill, steal, and destroy. Yeah.
There it is. And he's doing a good job at it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100% true. Like, I mean, Yeah, obviously, you know, this is like I had the quote. What do you say? The dopest beats, but yeah, that was funny. But you know,
I even relate teen pregnancy to that now because you know he accomplished that where kids nowadays think it's okay to get pregnant and it's cool, or
Well,
marriage out of wedlock. Marriage out of wedlock is not a thing, and marriage. I mean, baby within wedlock is not a thing anymore because they've tried to build the woman up to believe I'm so independent. I don't need no man. I could do it myself. I just need the baby. But honey, it takes two to tango. So how do you get the baby?
and so. And just, you know, like you said, with the agendas, like how Professor S saying from go from point A to Z, you know, you got to do this. And then Brother Akeem said, you know, Professor Solomon Prophet said, you know, all the agendas, including like the women's movement back in the day, like the feminist movement. And it's crazy. I don't know if you guys ever seen the documentary called America, Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo.
Aaron Russo, yep.
So he was a Hollywood director. I think he directed the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. You know, funny movie back in the day. But anyway, and obviously after he made this documentary, he apparently died a couple years later. But it was about like the Federal Reserve and how corrupt the system was and how it's illegal to pay a federal income tax. Great documentary. Highly recommend watching it. But at the end of the documentary, he was being interviewed by a lady, and one of the things he said, and that was my first time hearing it. He made this back in 2006 or 5 or 6. And at the end of that documentary, he brought this up. He said, the lady asked him a question. I can't remember what the question was. He said, yeah, you know, I used to work in Hollywood, and I kind of left because I seen the evil and corruption. I think he was talking about the stuff we're talking about now as far as Hollywood. You know, he saw it back then. He didn't want part of that. He said, but while I was leaving, he said, you know what? You know who came to me? And I believe it was David Rockefeller. I could have the name wrong. Like, you know, John D. Rockefeller's great-grandson or something.
It was Nick Rockefeller.
Okay. He said, Nick Rockefeller came to me. He said, do you want to join our club? He's like, no, I respectfully declined. And he said, as he's walking away, he turned around and said, hey, can I tell you something? And Aaron was like, okay, what? He said, what did you think of the women's movement in the 70s? And Aaron was like, well, wasn't that a good thing? You know, women fought for the rights and all that stuff. And he's like, you such an idiot. And he was so confused. Like, what do you mean? He said, we were in control of that. He's like, what do you mean? He said, so we were sitting around our table thinking like, how can we tax 100% of the population? Because right now, you know, it's mostly the men working and women are home raising the kids. He said, we have a couple of agendas with that. He said, we're going to plant our women in the society and start to rile up other women like, hey, don't you want to work and be equal to men and all this stuff, get them riled up. He said, but the agenda behind it is not that women can be, you know, work and, you know, all that stuff. He said, what we want to do is first tax 100% of the population. And then instead of the woman instilling their values into the kids at home, we're going to, now they're at work and now they have to put their kids into our school systems. And now we control their kids' minds. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that blew me away.
And it also limited the wealth, right? Because it used to be that one man's income could provide for a family of 4 and a dog, right? Now you pretty much need 2 incomes just to feed a dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because through the totalitarian tiptoe, they slowly, when they first flooded the market with a whole bunch of female employees, of course they weren't able to pay them as much because they've just exploded the job market. Right now, what they did was they slowly decreased the pay of men while increasing the pay of women to where it got to where now 2 incomes are required to do the same thing, and It's just
but like you're saying, just shows you how like what the agenda is. Because at the surface, okay, go ahead, you want to work and do this stuff, fine, great, more power to you, right? But it's like, but when you see the agenda behind what they were doing, that's with all the all the movements. Is like there's the agenda behind it. Even at the surface, it may seem good, like the climate stuff and all that other. You know, I don't want to say the full thing because it'll get dinged, but you know, all that stuff is like. Clearly, you see the agenda behind it, but they make it look so good at the surface. Like, wow, this is great.
The women's there was more women protesting against it was women supporting it. But through the control of the media, they were able to make it appear that there was more women in favor of it. But there's more women protesting it because they realized it was an attack against their livelihoods. Right? These days, I mean, no one would even recognize that. You know, because it's so far in the distant past now. But you know, there was actually more women going to protest against women's lib than there was in support of it.
But just shows how patient he is. Like decades. Again, that was in the 70s, 60s, 70s, right? And then it's coming more to it's like all these agendas were placed decades ago, hundreds of years ago. But it's like you see where it took that much time to get to where we are today. Like I say, they got placed way back in the day, and then slowly keep adding more and more to it. To now, look at where we are.
No,
and it's like you see it progressing over time. It's just crazy.
No, is that true, or is it a? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Salam. Perfect.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't know if you guys have watched the television show Fallout, and it's based off of a video game, but it's a really good show. But it goes into a lot of that behind the scenes systematic agenda implementation, to where like Brother Greg said from the interview, the documentary, he mentioned how he told him, like, yeah, we was in charge of all of this. Well, in Fallout, there's this company, big corporation, had a contract with the government and systematically set things in motion to the point where they not only became more dominant than the government, but they were literally putting their agenda in place that literally wiped out the known world. And if you watch the show, little bit by little bit, each episode kind of unveils a little bit more of that agenda until you get to like the last couple episodes of the season, where you really see like how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Mm-hmm.
So the rabbit hole goes truly deep.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this is not some conspiracy theory. All right, go ahead. I'm out.
We should have like a thing. You press a number, like, bing. Okay, you're next in line. Number 2, you're up.
But now, like Sis was saying in the chat, as far as guys being molested and things like that. But I don't know. Like I said, the rabbit hole goes so deep. But to only actually make it in the entertainment world is you got to give up something. Unfortunately, you got to give something to get something. So people sit here and envy or be like, "Oh, I like this person, and oh, they got this money," but you don't know what they did to get it, and they literally sold their soul to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Like my favorite of all time, I got chills when my trailer came on for Mufasa. Yeah, I'm a big Lion King girl. So at the end, I saw the last credit said starring or debuting Blue Ivy. I'm like, hold up, time out. Like my spiritual spidey senses are up so high now. I'm like, okay, I understand that she is Beyonce's daughter. But even by their own laws within the entertainment industry, you have to work for that. Like Lion King is Disney's #1 movie of all time. So you got a child who gets to just jump the chain of all of these talented people, and she gets to debut in the Lion King series.
That's because
to me
of her
that was
father.
crazy.
Because of her father. Don't think it's just because she's Beyonce child. It's because of Jay-Z. And that's a deep rabbit hole. Have a conversation about another day. But that's a deep rabbit hole.
But you still be on that. You said you got to give up something to get something. There's something going on there.
No. Put it this way. Beyonce and those kids and all of them are controlled by Jay-Z. The controlled operative is Jay-Z. A lot of people in the music industry that hasn't made a career is because Jay-Z took them down. It's a deep rabbit hole. We can go there, baby girl. But I'm just telling you, that movie is all because Jay-Z probably eliminated the op that was supposed to have that role so his daughter can have that role. He's in control of Beyonce, Blue, and the Mama Tina knows. It's a deep rabbit hole right there.
Oh man, Jay-Z's just a rabbit hole that would,
It's a rabbit hole. If we went down, a lot of people probably would be shocked, but I found out the truth about him, and it's a lot of things he's in control of, not just the music entertainment, but to get that stardom up there in music, you got to go through him.
And now if we're going to talk about, we're going to get into music and stuff, not to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I mean, like, you see whenever someone in the industry doesn't play ball, whenever they
get brought down.
Yeah, they get taken out. Just like Pimp C, Pimp C was he got took out they took him out because he was talking about stuff they didn't want him to talk about. He didn't go along with.
And
the,
Pimp C has some evidence on Miss
Oh,
Noble.
oh yeah, man. Oh,
That's
man.
why Pimp C had to go.
Oh yeah.
But even if you go a little bit further than that, you know, obviously you see the people that are the face, like the Jay-Z's and the Diddy's and all that. But then you got to ask who's control of them, because they're just the faces. The people that control them tell them what to do, and they just do it, you know, because they won't let them think about it. They won't have that much power to be able to buy stuff if it didn't get approved and if that didn't go with the agenda. So who's in control of them? And then, you know, like they go up that chain to Satan's obviously at the top. But then there's puppets, and then the Nephilim. You know, you go down that chain. Then it's
It's called what's it called? They call them handlers. And
it's like so he's just a puppet too. Like they're all just puppets, but you know we just know their faces as like the ones taking the hit of everything. But the people controlling them are behind the door that we never see. You don't even know their faces.
And you know, Pimp C went against that, right? He went against that. If you listen to his last album, not to get too far off on this rabbit trail, but if you listen to his last album and then you watch some of the footage from the last tour he went on, and then he come back and croaked, it doesn't make any sense. The only thing that makes sense is he's exposing stuff. He's not going along with the agenda, and anyways, we'll get off that topic for now, I guess.
This is a separate video, separate 2-hour video.
Separate. But yeah, music is powerful, man. That was my first ministry. My absolute first ministry. Ooh, now it's been 17 years ago. Now, exposing the truth about the music industry and the satanic agenda. It's crazy. But yeah, let me go ahead and get back to this video. We stretched out a 12-minute video, y'all. We on almost 2 hours.
Oh man.
So you mean to tell me that your policies are intentionally racist against black people?
Racist? This has got to be the best law I've ever come up with. Now, I can't believe that humans still believe they're different races. But to answer your question, yes. It has always been my policy to target and isolate a group of people. And out of all my strategies, this skin color thing has worked the best. I definitely want to keep white people and black people separated. As long as I can keep black people bitter and white people offended, I'm good. Hopefully black people will never forgive. That way I can continue to use them.
This game, you're not ready for.
Hold on, I want to talk on that for a quick second. For my woke black folk family, I love y'all, but we gotta let this hatred go in order for us to truly live out our purpose and be who the Most High wants us to be. You can't just be sitting around simmering in bitterness your whole life. I understand the agendas, as we've mentioned, a lot of what's going on this show, and this isn't even, the tip of the iceberg, but I understand slavery and segregation and just systematic racism embedded throughout all of the areas of society, and then the open blatant racism, you know what I'm saying, out in front, KKKs and different groups like that. I get that, right? But like, you're always going to be held back and held down if you're holding on to that burden in that way. The Most High isn't going to bless you when you got a heart filled with hatred. And it takes a lot of people a long time to realize this. And before you know it, 20, 30, 40 years that went by and you haven't moved the needle any because you've been so content on either getting back at the man or establishing some type of leg up in competition that's fueled by the bitterness that you feel on the inside. Like, is there people that have done atrocities to our people? Yes. Is everybody like that? No. But even the people that are doing it, do you know any of them personally? So why are you spending your own personal time, your own personal energy in your daily life worried about some people that ain't even thinking about you? You know what I mean? Put that energy into something that's going to be fruitful. Put that energy into helping the person next to you, right? Your neighbor. or learning, getting that knowledge, wisdom and understanding to educate other people. But if you keep letting that hatred consume you, you ain't gonna never go nowhere.
And that's one of the biggest tools, like the weapons used in our, like you said, Bible says we all come from the same blood, right? Like he said, that's his biggest thing, like skin color, right? Just different tones, but we're all the same. We're human race, just different types of people. But because even me, growing up in the hood, like the traditional hood, poor, all that stuff, it's like, even then, like I realized, okay, I have a choice to make. I can work hard and get myself out of the situation, or I can just blame and continue to stay where I am. And it's like, that's a trick too. It's like a trick out of mind. Cause like the prison, put yourself in a prison, but the door is open. You can walk out of that prison. But I'm gonna just stay in here and stay comfortable and complain. But it's like you said, get everything all that stuff. You don't want to lessen the effect of any of the history, but that's a weapon used of the mind to keep the mind weak.
Right. And it really is that, because, whenever someone is blaming someone else, they've put themselves into a victim mentality where they are the victim. Now, we can only ever really be the victim of ourselves, right? But when you externalize that and try to make yourself the victim of someone else, it causes you to become a victim, right? Not of the other person, but rather of yourself, because ultimately everything that's happened in our lives is because we've caused it. And we have to take 100% responsibility and say, hey, I've caused this, but knowing that I caused it, I can get myself out of it, right? I can do what needs to be done to get myself out of it, and it's so important to be taking 100% responsibility, which involves the forgiveness for wrongs that seemingly have been done to us, right?
And like another example,
unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting it to hurt the other person. And
I love that every time you say that. I love it.
And then just an example really quick I could think of, just like as far as, and this one's not necessarily like race related, but you could still tie it into it to where, I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, where you've been in situations, maybe you're hanging out with friends, family, whoever. And it's like this one person, it's like every time you see them, so they have something to complain about. Man, I was at the gas station, almost got into a fight, or I went out to eat and I got in an argument with the server. And it's like, there's always something. You're like, wow, how come when I go out to eat or gas station, I never experienced that. And then comes the time for you to, hey, let's go out to eat. Okay, or whatever, right? And you're with this person, a group of people, and you see how they're rude, they're being very disrespectful, and they're causing tension, but they think in their mind it's the other person doing it, but they're the ones that's exuding all this extra unnecessary rudeness, and then now they're creating tension. Yeah, the server may not want to serve them, or maybe they are a little rude now because they got, in a sense, quote unquote, started it. But it's like, now you can see that every time you see them, they have something to complain about, that they got in these situations. You're like, how say you always are in these situations, and that barely ever happens to me. Maybe 1 out of 10 times, right? But it's something like that towards like when
because we create these situations causing it sometimes. It's because we create the situations for ourselves, the way we behave and act and so forth, the way we think even is what's creating the situations around us. If I go into a place with a bad attitude, why should I expect someone else to have a good attitude toward me? You know what I'm saying? They're gonna feel my crappy attitude and respond the same way back to me. You know what I'm saying? And it goes right back to, we've got to take 100% responsibility and say, hey, look, I've caused this through my poor actions, my poor choices, and through different choices, different actions, different attitudes, it can be reversed. You know what I mean?
But then you have people that have to accept that point that their actions is the reason why things are the way they are. Mm-hmm. Age of accountability. That's the problem we have in today's world. People don't want to take accountability for their mess and what they do. But once you get there, then we've moved on somewhere. But you have to be accountable for what you do. So you have to sit back and look at this situation and say, hey, what did I do? or was I a
Yeah.
part of the problem to why this has caused the situation?
Yeah, you know, really, anyone can say, "Oh, well, I blame the government, or I blame the police, or I blame this or that, or someone did me wrong," and all this stuff. But
What did you do? That's what I always say. What did you do? And like people I'm around, family included, I don't do the drama thing. But if you come with it, we're gonna put it out on Front Street, and let's see if we're gonna take accountability for it.
Yep.
Okay. My question is, what role, if any, does your administration play in this black on black crime epidemic?
Well, as great as my administration is, we can't take all the credit for this. Black people help us tremendously. By aborting so many of their babies, they allow us to bring death to their communities. As the Bible says, they sow the wind and reap a whirlwind.
When implementing all of these policies, do you ever face any resistance or pushback? And if so, from who?
So it's funny. He said he don't need no help in this area, or we help him a lot in the area. We do. We killing each other. We killing babies. We already mentioned the abortion, but listen to what he's about to say. Listen to I think this is probably one of the most important aspects of the whole video that this brother's about to bring up.
One group in particular try to oppose every policy I try to implement. I would be so much further along in my agenda if it wasn't for them.
Really? So what group is that?
Those pesky, born again Jesus followers. They're a real thorn in my side. Every generation they come together and try to dismantle one of my signature policies. Now, I've convinced half of the world that Jesus didn't exist and the other half that he wasn't divine. But I can't seem to convince them. They seem hell-bent on telling everybody about him and spreading his message. Some of them believe he's coming to unseat me in this generation. Crazy, huh? I'll tell you, those idiots are really messing with my legacy.
So, Lucifer, how does that make you feel when us idiots say that Jesus possibly could be coming back in this generation to unseat you?
Y'all been saying that for centuries. I just use it as motivation to get as much of my agenda pushed through and deceive as many people as possible before he returns. I think I've done pretty well. My record speaks for itself. About 150,000 people die each day, and most of them don't know Jesus.
150,000 people. Whew. Well, you know what? This concludes our interview. I want to.
So you heard what he said. Now, obviously, we already know true names of who we talk about. But he's talking about the believers, right? He's talking about individuals like us who are spreading the message, teaching, edifying, making disciples, sharing love. But he said that's and you see this entire video has been stuff he's been implementing, how he's been successful in everything, right? And I think, obviously this is theatrics in terms of the interview, but I think it was really, really thought through and well put together. And in a way that like people could really absorb like the information, but to know that he aware, he knows what he's going to do. And he knows he got to get as much work done as he can before Messiah come back.
Yep, truth. That is true.
Let's see if he's going to say something else. 1 second.
I want to say thank you for open, honest, pretty frank discussion with me. Is there any last words you would like to leave with our viewing audience?
Yes. I'd like to take this moment and give a special thank you to two groups of people. First, I want to say thank you to all my followers. You are the hands and feet of my administration, and we could do nothing without you. Keep up the good work, spread my message. And second, I'd like to say thank you to the divided church. I love the way you argue and use your passions to fight amongst each other. Keep up the good work. There's really no rush to tell people about Jesus. You all have plenty of time.
This is why I stopped shopping on.
All right. That concludes the interview with Hasatan. Hold on one second. But yeah, so that last part that he mentioned about the division between the churches, I don't just internalize that.
I thought you wanted me.
But not only just the divisions with the churches, but also the divisions amongst all the groups, whether you're a church, whether you're a camp, whether you're just a group of believers, whatever the case may be, different organizations. Everybody is so divided. Everybody is at each other's throats, and so much energy and time is put at going at each other instead of actually understanding who the real enemy is. Right? If I want to conquer this area over here, all I got to do is just put them against each other, and they fight each other and kill each other and take care of each other, and then I just slide right into the spot, right, without any opposition, because nobody focused on me; they focused on each other. So, if you haven't got anything out of this entire interview, I hope you take a couple things with you. One, the devil is real; he at work, and it's so apparent, it's so in our faces nowadays, but it's out there. We see it in everyday life. So now that you're aware of it, try your best not to be a part of whatever it is, whatever these agendas are, right? Two, understand that he don't like he don't like us coming and speaking the truth, right? And he don't like it when we're unified. All of these agendas is segregation, is division, whether it's dividing the man and a woman and taking a man out of the house, dividing the different churches and believing organizations and having them fight against each other, or just dispute against each other and the focus not put on him, or all of the different gender roles and identity roles and different things like that throughout. All of it is segregation, right? And without unity, we are not going to be able to continually thrive and prosper in the way that the Most High wants us to if we constantly are falling for these. I want to say they simple, but I ain't gonna lie. These agendas are well thought out, and if they wasn't so negative, I'd give them props. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like when yeah, like if you get into a fight with somebody who can really fight, and you like at the end of it, even if you win or lose, you'd be like, man, you was my enemy or my opponent, but I got to give you your props. You did your thing. It's almost kind of like that. Like, but that's another reason why we played the video for everybody to see, to understand what it's like from the other side. What are they saying? What are they doing? What is their mindset? What is their agendas? Right? What is the systematic, plans that's been put in place for us to, fail? And now that we are aware of some more of those things, hopefully none of this was new to you. But if it was new to you, take it, absorb it, and utilize it as fuel to encourage you to share that information with other people, so we don't keep falling in these systematic cycles.
Amen.
I've actually got, if you don't mind, I've got something I can share. It's really, really good, man. This was actually back from 1965. I think I think this is also really, really good. If you don't mind, it's like 3 minutes or something. It's not too long.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool, man. I'm going to play this. I was actually just listening to this earlier, so interesting. Okay.
Go ahead, put it up.
Yeah, let's see here. All right. Y'all can see it?
Yes, sir.
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
And that's crazy. You said 1965.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and look at that. Look, everything checked the box. Then the checklist, every box is checked today. In 2024.
Yep.
Wow, that is right on with today, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like I said, there's been messages throughout the decades. Like I said, once I kind of saw this in 2020, I started to research back, 100 years ago. And it's like there's been pockets of people trying to warn, right? But they got drowned out by, like I said, the media, or just got silenced. But it's crazy when you look back at what they said, like this video. It's like, wow, everything they tried to warn about is happening right now.
Yep. And I meant to say this earlier, but like just on a small sample size, and I'm pretty sure everybody on this panel can relate. Just think about how subtle things have changed and how it's drastically changed in the grand scheme of things. So like, I take you back to my childhood in the 90s and early 2000s, watching things on TV you wouldn't see a lot of, men on men or women on women, and a little bit of like more provocative stuff and sex being promoted, but not as much. And then slowly but surely, the more you've seen it on TV, the more it's become accepted in regular society. You go back to the 90s and, you see two men walking down the street holding hands, or two women walking down the street holding hands and kissing. People would look at them some kind of way, like, ugh, like, and some people will be bold enough to say, like, yo, get that out of here. You know what I'm saying? But now we've been so desensitized to it that what we see on TV becomes our reality, like you said in both the videos, right? And now when we see it in real life, right in front of our eyes, to the public, to the masses, it's nothing taboo, nothing wrong. It's now normal and being accepted. And just think about it. The 90s was 30 years ago, a little over 30 years ago. So in a short 30-year period,
crazy, wow.
we've dramatically gone from a more conservative society to just the wild west. And even 30 years ago, it was, compared to 30 years prior to that, was even the wild west, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's crazy. 75 years, we are a completely different world than we used to be. And this is, going back to the 60s that this video had came out.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Yeah. Just
A few years ago, and back a few years in Jamaica, they would not allow like gay ships to dock. It was like it was totally like people were totally against that. And just like you said, fast forward right now, they're welcome with open arms. It's like it's just a total like change. Everything just gradually just changed, and it's unfortunately no going back. It's just downhill from here, and it's just crazy. Sometimes it's just mind blowing when you think about how the country used to be, or the people used to be, and they're like, no, everybody have this. Their moral compass was up here, and now it's just like down here. They don't care no more. It's just like whatever. They're all desensitized, and anything goes now. They don't care. It's really different.
Yeah, that's why
Really, really different.
you gotta endure to the end. Because, like you see all this stuff happening, and you don't stay in the word, stay prayed up, and full having a full armor on. We all would take somehow get to the very elect would be saved by the agency. That didn't come when I do. There would not be one soul like to save, and it's like that's crazy to think about. So it's like we just got to endure to the end, because Satan's trying to weaken us in our minds and our willpower. A lot of people are caving into that stuff today, so you gotta endure to the end.
Greg, I feel like it's something more than that needs to be done. I don't think it's enough to stay prayed up no more. Honestly, it is more to it than that, because how many people was prayed up, and I'm just gonna pick on it, the COVID shot. How many people?
Man, you're gonna get this video taken down.
I'm sorry. I pick on another one. How many people is prayed up when walking into the abortion clinic? Is that another one? Oh, all right. No, but how many people is prayed up? We don't hear from God. We're not being taught in the churches, or we don't talk about it enough amongst ourselves. But we're in the familiarization phase. So that's where God has that grace. We're getting back to know him. But when it comes to this is my voice, we really have to practice it more. Even us, as much as we say like we're following the Torah now, and I talk to myself, but am I really getting into the Torah to really learn what those laws are? Like, have I changed my clothes yet? The easy stuff is the food, maybe the clothes, but when it comes to conflict management, I'm into gardening. Am I gardening properly? Am I giving my land a rest as it should be? All of that stuff is not just the easy stuff like the food and controlling your emotions and stuff like that. So something else I wanted to bring up that was mentioned when we talked about, was it you, Greg? You was like, oh no, when the Satan in the video was saying how it was systemic to get into the schools and teach the young kids this and that. We got to listen to our conscience. What is it? Somewhere in Romans, was it 14:13 about the law being written on your heart and your conscience bearing witness. We really have to practice being spirit led as much as we say it. We got to practice it. So I encourage all of us, even me, to look back the last week, the last month, and say, when was it that God gave me one of those little tests to follow him to show being spirit led? Now, our biggest ones, I hear you talk about it all the time, Solomon, about, whether it's getting out the military and stuff like that. I can say the same for me as well. It took a lot of courage for several of us on here to walk away from Christian doctrine. That takes a lot of courage, but you listened, you followed, and you got to see the why after the fact. You got to see the end result after the fact. And that's how it's going to be sometime. For me, getting out the military as a single parent, right? You question how in the world I'm choosing to follow the lunisolar Sabbath calendar as a single parent, but I'm listening to that voice, and then that's where the faith comes in that he's gonna have you. And so much so, after all of that, I'm like, I'm a single mom. I don't feel something right about the school system. I need to pull my kid out of school. Bro, how? And what logic says that you can do that? You can homeschool your kid as a single parent. Like, it don't make sense. But you got to listen to what God put in your heart. And I did it, and he provided. Y'all, like, my prayer for each and every one of us right now, look back over the last week or the last month and ask Father to recall, when have you spoken to me and told me to follow my spirit and I did or didn't listen? Repent, and let's just keep practicing that, because we're going to have another allegiance check soon. I'm telling you, but before this year is over, we're going to have another allegiance check where you're going to choose to give up something or choose Yah. That's it.
Yeah, that's good. And then just real quick, just to kind of add on to what you were saying, as far as from what I said, it's like, yeah, because I mean, you have people say, oh, just pray about it or just have faith, but they're doing it in a sense of not wanting to do action, or like, because obviously, yeah, it does take action. But again, if you look at the Bible, what it happened each time they did something stupid, what did Yah ask them? If you just turn away and repent, I'll be there. And this nation turned away all tonight, everybody tonight, this whole entire U.S., whatever, in the world, turned away, truly repented. This would be a totally different world tomorrow, right? But this be hard-headed, stiff-necked people, we turn away and repent. That's all he asked people to do throughout the Bible: turn away and repent. They did a lot of horrible things. We turn away and repent, like as a nation, that this place will be totally different. But yeah, there are things we got to do as far as physically to try to make stuff happen too, along with prayer. But yeah, I agree.
Here's the thing: the how really doesn't matter. When you make a decision that you're going to do something, the how presents itself. But most people do is they try to think about, well, how is this going to happen, and then they talk themselves out of it because they can't see the how, right? But it really doesn't matter, especially when the decision you're making is the right one. You know what I'm saying? The how doesn't matter.
Absolutely. And like Sister Alva, Sister Cindy was saying, we're accountable, right? It goes back to that accountability piece that I believe Sister Marquita and Sister Jasmine was talking about earlier in the show. But yeah, you have to take accountability for not only yourself, but those whom you've been placed with a charge over, right? And a lot of us, that's our children, that's our offspring. And for my brothers, it's not only your children, but also your spouses. You know what I'm saying? As the head of the household. So you have to take accountability, because the decisions that you do make, unfortunately, don't just affect you. They affect those around you, right? So you have to be extra careful and extra vigilant when you are trying to discern what's the right way to go.
Amen.
Absolutely. All right. Does anybody have anything they would like to share with the group before we close everything on out? I'll throw the next week's tour portion up there for a minute too, if you missed it. The first.
I have a question. What is the age of accountability for a child? Like, is it when they're old enough to know yes from no, or I've searched and it's like it's not really clear to me.
The age of accountability is is different for men and women just because of the situation. So biblically speaking, right, the age of accountability for a son is until he's old enough to be able to go to war. He's what you would consider a fighting man, or until he starts his own family and goes off and starts his own family. For a woman, it's when she's old enough to be married, and then her and her husband becomes one, and she leaves your house, right? Those are the ages of accountability. Now, if she remains, if she remains in your house and she doesn't marry for whatever the reason, I guess that's a kind of hit and miss, just kind of like until she's an adult, make it capable of making her own decisions. And I would say the mother would probably have that intuition to know like when she was ready and accountable for her own actions, and then the father would deem it. But yeah.
Thank you.
Great question.
I was gonna say this is a great topic. Yes, this was a good discussion topic. So yeah, this was good.
Shout out to Professor S, man. He sent me the quick little clip that I sent y'all. He sent that to me, and when I saw it, I was like, "This is interesting, but this seems familiar." Then I went and searched to try to find the full video, and then I watched the full video, and I was like, "Wait, I've seen this before," and I couldn't remember how long ago I saw it, but it was, how when you see something, you haven't seen something in so long that when you watched it the next time, it felt like you was watching it for the first time again. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how it was. And I was like, man, this is a really interesting thing. And then I told my wife about it, and she's like, are you going to make that a topic of Shabbat talk? And I was like, I don't know yet, but I might, because that's very interesting. And then thought about it some more. I was like, yeah, let's make it more of a discussion based type of thing. And it all praise to the Most High, it worked out. So yeah. Shabbat. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say literally just what you said. I believe I did see that before, or years ago, but obviously at the time it just didn't register like it does now, just with different eyes, right? Different understanding, different wisdom. So yeah, I don't remember anything he said, but I was looking at it because it looked familiar, just like the setup. Like I think I'd seen this before, but before I probably just watched it as something entertaining, didn't get the message that it was presenting.
Mm-hmm. I think I remembered the essence of it, but I couldn't remember like what the character looked like, the actual questions that were being asked. I just remember how the video made me feel in the moment, but I couldn't put like video. I couldn't put an image to the memory, if that makes sense. So as I was watching it, I was feeling something familiar in my spirit that I felt before, but now I have, so much more understanding of the agendas and of what the scripture says than I did beforehand. So it's like, okay, got it. But I hope everybody got the Torah portion for next week. For those of you guys at home watching the replay, or if you watching us live on YouTube or Facebook, whether it's on my personal page, on my artist page, but make sure you like, you share, you comment, and you subscribe, and get this information out to more people. I'm sure you've seen how watching us each week, or if you're just tuning in for the first time, how this can be very impactful and encouraging. And so we want other people to get that same type of experience and feeling as you. So make sure we share this with everybody else. And with that being said, I appreciate you, Professor S, for bringing this Shabbat Talk topic to fruition. You the man, my A1 day one. I appreciate everybody on the panel. Thank you again, Sister Zakaria. I really appreciate your words. I do. I appreciate you. I love you. Love each and every one of y'all.
Father, love you too, bro. You already know.
Oh, praises. May he be esteemed in all things. May he be esteemed in all things.
Hallelujah.
With that being said, family, may the Most High bless you, keep you, camp his angels around you, and give you peace. That is shalom in the Messiah's name. Shabbat shalom, family. Y'all have a blessed rest of y'all night and a blessed week. We'll see you again here next week on Shabbat Talk.
Shabbat shalom, family. Have a good night.
Shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
We can't wait for this to be over. The end's a little bit closer. A key to this is composure. When you're soldiers of Jehovah, you'll read every line and see every sign. The world's gonna beat you, mistreat you with time. Darkness will start to get bolder. The wind's a little bit colder. A key to this is composure. When you're soldiers of Jehovah, feels like we're denied. Apart from design, these demons mistreating the inside my mind. Poisonous oxygen, make it hard to breathe. Need to open up my lungs. With these chemtrails and them FEMA camps, they gon' try to take my son. I swear this population ain't ready. These politicians be deadly. I'm trying to wake my people up, but the way the truth's so heavy. Don't let me think about the beginning, no winning, no sinning, unless you already know what the end be like. I'm thinking about my awakening through the red pill. Now I really don't know what a friend be like. Dip me in the water, make me new again. I'm so done with lies, let the truth begin. The mark of the beast is the micro.